yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So this is counterpoints and Brianna Wu against Queeman.
Well, and that was my thing is, so I think that if I go too hard where I'm like, oh, this is, oh, as a matter of fact, can you send it to me real quick? The list.
Oh, what's happening is he joined like when they sent him the invite, I think, and they're still talking amongst themselves, like they're still like strategizing or whatever. He's frankly incompetent, but hey, I guess he's here for it.
Yes.
This is great.
So that's Queeman there. He's been invited prematurely.
I haven't got the URL on screen, have I? No, I haven't. Smart me. Very smart of me.
What is this? God damn it. Okay. Anyways, point being that the one thing that I think is like super weak on his end is the fact that he all this other stuff or whatever, I think you can address fairly easily from a personal standpoint. And
I think he doesn't even know, like, are they talking to him about him? Like, what's going on? This is so cringe, man.
I think what I'm going to do is if I try to answer these on your behalf, it's going to look like I'm just trying to sweep or protect. But the one thing that I think that I need to...
Curious. Do I let him know or not?
Oh my god.
Is Roy not in here?
Well, he's just going to say, oh, well, you're a liar. Yeah. Well, then he's just going to say...
They're like strategizing. Oh my god.
Well, I think you're a liar, and this is my earnestly held belief. So it's not defamatory. Okay. Okay, what I would say is...
Already
there's a few things that I think
defamation.
are super...
Jesus.
weak in his arguments, which is basically like a lot of these aren't verifiable. Like he showed evidence as if it was evidence, but it didn't show what he said it showed.
What didn't it show?
And then also, what was the other thing? So he presented, I think one of the weakest points that I would probably hammer him on again, is the fact that like he extends all of this charity to all of the people who were like threatening you during the Gamergate era, where it's like, oh, it's all jokes, it's all satire. These weren't real death threats. She's exaggerating it in order to play victim.
You just hear him in the background, like, hello, hello. Holy shit.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, Gamergate. That's the other thing. I think she's probably going to mention Gamergate at least once a sentence. I would have brought like shots or something to drink every time she says Gamergate, but I can't really drink anymore. I don't have anything else suitable as like a substitute. I have water, but that's more for my voice. So yeah, missed opportunity, but what can we do?
But then he took the keffals, please do cocaine with all your charity money. He took that as like a serious statement. Like Brianna Wu are saying like, yeah, hey, keffals, go ahead and do $100,000
talking to Brianna Wu about him and he's in here.
of cocaine, as if that could possibly be a serious statement instead of a joke. And I think that anybody who doesn't have autism knows that's a joke.
By the way, yeah, I know it's a joke. Is it a appropriate joke to make about someone who actually did turn out to have stolen a bunch of money?
Is he realizing? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, I've been in here a while. You sent me the link.
Yeah, 601.
Yeah, okay. I just like I heard all of that. That's all. It seemed like you guys were talking alone. Like it was a private conversation.
His face, oh my god.
Here for.
Well, it wasn't too private. It's basically what we think is your weakest stuff and what we think is your strongest stuff.
This is so awkward. Holy shit.
Cool.
So we're literally about to talk about all of it right now. So yeah.
Okay. I'd love to.
Strategizing until the last minute. That's what it is.
Okay. Do you have a camera that you can put on StreamYard?
No.
Okay. Do you have a Quiggler? Do you have a Queefer?
You want me to send you a Quiggler? I can send you one.
No, I'm okay. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm waiting for Brianna.
Riveting content. Counter Connor, Counterpoints, Counterfire. He goes by a lot of names. He's basically Brianna Wu's I don't know, right hand man, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to be diplomatic.
How's it going?
Oh my God,
pretty good.
This is the awkwardest shit. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen these two interact, Queeman and Counterpoints, a whole lot, but I don't get the impression that Counterpoints is very keen on Queeman. Like, Queeman said a lot of stuff about Brianna Wu, and he's very team Brianna these days.
How are you?
Yeah, it's all right.
How's life?
Yeah, amazing.
Sure.
Finished the video. It's doing okay.
Yeah. Well, I would presume that was, how do I phrase this? You either have a Machiavellian streak or you have autism or both. So do you want to explain your rationale?
God, it's getting like weird already. She's not even here yet. Where's Brianna? We're here for Brianna.
Rationale behind it? That way I don't have to.
My rationale is if
He released a video exposing a bunch of Brianna Wu's lies, basically.
someone's gonna goad me and sit there being like, oh, whenever this person wants to put on their big boy pants, we can come talk. If they're gonna do that, then yeah, I'm gonna go make a video on all the terrible shit you've done before we go and talk. Yeah, because I'm not.
Was that me or Brianna?
That was Brianna. That was Brianna. From behind the block too. I'd like to add.
Okay. Well, Brianna's here, so I'm gonna add and fuck with the shit, and then I'm gonna go live on my end. Okay.
Oh, here she is. Oh my God. Oh my God. Main event. Here we go. Here we go.
All right. And then that is not looking the way I want it to, so we'll just go with this one. All right, and then Brianna, can you hear us okay?
I sure can.
Okay, Mr. Queeman.
How many filters do we reckon? To be fair, there's a lot of sunlight on her face, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Is in with us, but he does not have camera that he can hook up for it, so we're just
we're not gonna get to see his face. That's so sad. I would think you'd want to show your fucking face, but you know.
She's fired up already. This is good.
I mean,
well,
when you show your actual face without 5 filters on it, we can talk. But
it's called
Jesus.
It's called what? She got cut off.
Can we save the band for the actual shit? So, anyways, I'm going live on our end. And I guess I'll do kind of setting the stage, so to speak, since I guess I'm hosting. So, good evening, everyone in posterity. The way that this came to be is I'll just hit it from my perspective. So I'm a fan of the commentary community and the drama community. I think that all things considered, while they often do focus on very silly things, they do have a penchant for being honest and critical and abrasive and annoying, which can be fun or funny when you don't like their targets. When you do like their targets, it can be frustrating and annoying and kind of abrasive. So I am a...
Why would it be annoying if they go after someone you like, if they're correct? I don't get that. I think that suggests a flaw in your thinking, if that's how you feel.
Relatively speaking, fan of Queeman's work. I'm relatively speaking a fan of Chud Logic's work, but I also find that they are abrasive. When it comes to Miss Brianna, you know, we're obviously friends. We work on content.
Miss Brianna. There's something about that. There's just something about that. I don't know.
Together, and it seemed like Mr. Queeman had a healthy chunk of criticism for me and for Miss Brianna when it came to keffals.
It's just a bit too simpering, you know. You don't have to simp in this way, right?
In particular, and I think that Queeman's content is at its best when he is summarizing arguments, saying why they're incorrect, and then basically coming up with his own insights. I think his content is at its weakest when he's just calling everybody else an idiot or a spurg or a dumbass or a retard or any variation of those words or other words that he chooses to describe. subscribe. So I basically said, well, Mr. Queeman, if you take issue with what I've said or what, Miss Brianna has said, then I invite you to talk it with me. I'm not personally scared of you. I'm not personally scared of the commentary community. So if you want to have a conversation, that's fine. And then Miss Brianna also jumped into the Twitter reply section and said that she is down for the conversation as well.
Yeah, from behind the block. Yeah,
today.
Yeah. Just I'd like to add that from behind the block.
From behind the block. Ain't that always the way on Twitter?
Well, let's get. We will have plenty of time to get into the content. I have watched the Queeman Brianna Wu summary. I also shot it over to Brianna with some cliff notes. So we're here basically to hash it out and air it out as best we can. So does either one of you want to lead us off?
I'm good.
No, I'm easy as well. Yeah. What's the setup here? Do you want to go for me bringing stuff up, or do you guys want to bring stuff up from the video? You said you've got notes, so I don't know if you want to start off there.
Connor?
Sure. I mean, if you
want, so awkward. God.
Me to read the main takeaways that I had from it as a topic of discussion, then we can do that.
I mean, we just go down through the list and we can just point out all the factual errors, mistaken judgments, libelous defamatory statements. And
she's not happy. Libelous defamatory statements. Ooh, we're going in strong. She's pitching a big tent here. She's gonna have to keep it up, or she's gonna start to look a bit silly.
Weak reasoning. Why don't we
just go for it?
Go on through it?
All right, so let's do the first one. So the first one that I took a note on was Brianna Wu claimed to have degrees, but only shows attending a university for a decade in her transcript with no final degree.
So I did not. So let me ask you a question, Queeman. I just want all the listeners to know you won't show your face. So do you know who David Whitman?
Make sure all the listeners know. I think she's going to drop that in every now and then, along with the Gamergate references.
Whitford is?
Is that some Nazi guy? Roughly.
No, it's not a Nazi guy. Do you know who this is?
Yeah, I think he had some association with Milo, didn't he?
No. Do you know who David Whitford is?
No.
Obviously he doesn't. Why do people do this thing where they ask like weird questions expecting you to know what they're talking about? Like, come on. We're always starting the conversation from about 5 miles behind where we could be.
But no idea who David Whitford is.
Idea
the name
whatsoever?
or looking into you? Nope, not
Didn't
right now.
Look it up?
Nope.
Really? You have no idea who David Whitford is?
No, does this have any relevance to you having a degree?
This is taking too long.
Yeah, it does actually.
Okay, could you explain the relevance to you having a degree?
Why don't you shut up? This is my show. I'm going to talk.
It's my show too, actually. I'm on my stream as well, actually. So I can actually talk pretty freely.
We're just going to
not measure. Let's get.
Oh, poor Connor. Poor Connor. The host has muted your mic. Oh, that's going to come up every time. Holy shit.
The information.
We'll do it. So David Whitford is a person who is a really long-standing reporter. He worked at Inc. magazine for many years, and in the middle of Gamergate, there
it is, Gamergate #1. I don't know if I'll do a counter or something, but
spent, my gosh, it must have been 2 weeks following me around. This is an old school reporter. Went through every single detail of my life.
I've literally got this article in my video. Sorry, I just didn't know the name. Okay, but I've got literally this article in my video.
All right, so he didn't know who they are. He did know who they are, but now he's going to have to listen to Brianna go on for I don't know how long because his mic is muted, as you can see on the screen. Maybe the quality's not good enough, but it says his mic is muted.
Literally poured through every.
I've got literally this article is in my video
for a feature in Inc. magazine.
Yeah, this is in my video.
I know his pain. Like when you already know what someone's saying, or they start off asking you a question and then explain it completely unnecessarily, and you have to sit there and wait. And it's like, come on, just finish the sentence.
You were interested in a factual summary of everything that happened in my life. Yeah.
By the way, muting his mic is fucking cringe. Like, don't do this. Whenever people have done this in like debates and stuff, when the power goes to their head or whatever, it's just ridiculous.
Probably shouldn't go to Kiwi Farms.
I didn't go to Kiwi. I didn't actually use Kiwi Farms once. I didn't use Kiwi Farms once.
Stuff about that there. In this piece, it talks about.
I know they muted me. I'm just talking for you guys.
Why did I not get a degree? It was because
so a lot of what he's saying they're not hearing, so that's nice. But you can see when they mute him.
It's
not about not getting it, it's about lying.
I left the University of Mississippi for multiple years. I lived in Jackson, Mississippi.
Like, why do we need any of this? He said, what's the relevance? Why are we getting her life story? I had this thing, like, I used to work at a letting agent. Like, I'd take calls for people who stuff broke in their houses because I was a letting agent. And sometimes I'd sort of ask a pretty basic question, sort of a diagnostic question or whatever. And it'd start from like 3 days ago, like this whole story leading up to it. It's like, man, just tell me what the issue is, man.
This is when I did my game studio.
I'll just talk for you guys. Okay, that's fine.
I was struggling with drug addiction and alcohol addiction for the entire time.
That's right. We'll just talk, guys. We can chat. Thanks for the $50 vodka. Huge thank you.
All of this goes together. Like, I've talked about every bit of this completely honestly and openly before. I actually don't have anything to hide. So I would really just suggest you go read that piece. It is the most accurate thing that's been written about that. And I'm sure in that piece it talks about how I did not get my degree, something I've never claimed to have.
That's a lie. You have claimed to have a degree.
No, I haven't.
You have. There's numerous IGN posts on the username SpaceCatGal from way before you started appearing in public under that, like as in the Gamergate public with that name. So it wasn't someone faking being you. There's plenty of IGN posts where you were claiming to have a degree that are archived on the web archive, not just on Kiwi Farms. There's also an episode of a podcast. There's also an episode of a podcast. Oh, so she's muted me. Okay.
One at a time.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is terrible. Like, it just comes across so dishonest. It's completely fucked up. Like, who else is going to want to talk to this person knowing that they're going to get a few words out, and if it's inconvenient, they'll just mute you? Like, who's going to want to deal with a person like that?
Need to see that, you know, in my public role for me, Brianna Wu, the person who came to be relevant, like in the public eye after.
I wish she'd fix her hair. Hang on. Yeah, my hair looks absolutely fine. You need to fix your hair. It looks like you've got like one of those mics that like comes out like that. It looks like that, but it's just hair. Like, move it. Holy shit.
Gamergate. I've been completely honest with this. Now, there was one article, to my knowledge, that came out, and I said I went to the University of Mississippi. To the reporter, they interpreted that to mean that I graduated. I did not. They misquoted me at the time. And something I think you'll find is not every publication has the same level of fact checking that, say, the New York Times does, or Inc. magazine has, or the Wall Street Journal has. So if you go through that, you'll see a very consistent statement.
Well, if we
sorry, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second, Connor. You just lied to me again, because I actually in August of 2014, you were actually claiming our podcast that you went.
Oh, why can't he just believe me? Why is he asking questions?
Back to university and finished your degree and became an investigative journalist. You actually did say that after Gamergate started. You did claim that. You misspoke. Okay.
Then
okay.
For the sake of, let's say that Brianna has this source that says, nope, I didn't say it, I phrased it this way. Queeman says, nope, you did phrase it this way. What is your educational background to be stated clearly now?
Sure. I went to a ton of college and I didn't succeed for...
This isn't a particularly interesting point. I don't know why he's giving a license to ramble on even more. I wish I'd just move on to the next one.
Getting a degree for many reasons. Part of it was the drug addiction. Part of it was other stuff that I was...
And you'll notice her being like a trans activist in her own right, even if she's a bit different to a lot of them and that she's very critical of trans activism, she still does a lot of the same things. And I'm probably going to keep bringing this up. Like, we're already mentioning like the drug addiction, like stuff that can be used in like a victim narrative, basically.
Dealing with, my family disowned me in the last 6 months of college, and I found myself homeless right after that. So
out of personal curiosity,
yeah.
For instance, I did the interdisciplinary degree program, which was actually a combination of 3 minors in order to get like a major, and it was like 120 credits or so. Do you remember how many credits you got during your attendance?
I was missing, I think, a mathematics class and one other thing. So
pretty close to an associate.
That's not a number. Great.
Associates are pretty close to a bachelor's.
Pretty close to a bachelor's.
Okay. All right, Queeman, do you have any other points that you want to make before we move to the next one?
No, I was never claiming that we still lied about this. I always said she stopped lying about it in 2015 after Milo showed the transcripts. Yeah.
Okay, well, then next point was claims to be a cybersecurity expert
Yeah, it's a really small point. Let's just see what the next one is. I think the heavy hitters are coming.
despite not having the credentials for that title.
She's got no experience as cybersecurity expert from what I can tell, but yeah, go for it.
Sure. As far as a policy level of expertise, I'm not claiming
A policy
to,
level? Dude, that's
Okay.
fucking hell. That's
You need
brilliant.
to let me talk. So
You need to let me talk. I don't know. Fuck, this is the problem. The way she talks is just not helpful for any of these kind of things. It's like she wants to be interviewed and not have a debate.
this was my congressional campaign. One of the things I ran for in my congressional campaign was taking cybersecurity very seriously. I talked to more people that I can begin to think about on cybersecurity issues.
Instantly
We
muted
talked
again,
about
by the
voting
way.
machines.
Muted again.
And, you've got to understand, everyone in Congress is very, very old, and the people that serve on the committees to do cybersecurity, they just don't take it seriously. A really good example, Connor, can you help me remember what was the bill a few years?
This is just like watching another Dross fucking podcast. This is what this feels like a lot of the time, because he has to sit there and listen for minutes and minutes on end, just rambling. Like, I don't know, if I was interested in like the life of Brianna Wu, then fair enough, but this isn't really why he's here, you know?
Years ago, was it the SOPA Act? Can you remember that?
I can Google it.
Stop Online
They
Piracy
tried to
Act.
get-
Even
Oh, Googling it. Yeah, that's great. We're going to Google things live on air whilst this guy, I guess, just waits in the corner until they deign him allowed to speak again.
no, I remember this.
and,
Come on, Woo.
Marsha
Let's
Blackburn.
burn
Yeah,
through
Soper, that I remember that shit. Fuck.
this
actually
retarded
went to
bullshit,
school
yeah,
with
you
my
stupid
mother.
bitch.
She was one of the people
Fuck me.
serving
I mean, he might as well if he's muted, right?
on the cybersecurity committee and actually tried to blame this bill, basically saying we needed to curtail First Amendment.
Let's pump those
rights
donos,
so
guys.
people
Pump those
would
fucking
stop
donos.
stealing
Let's go,
software.
guys. While I'm muted,
That's
pump
the
those
level
donos.
of person that is basically making this policy. So, my expertise I brought into this is I'd been a tech journalist for a long time. I'd worked as a software engineer, and I'd followed it very, very carefully as someone who was very interested in that public policy. So, is expert a little bit of political juice? Sure. But I think if you listen to me talk over a decade that I've been talking about public policy and tech, specifically my many, many, many appearances on Twit with Leo Laporte, I think most people would say I'd be a really big step up as far as setting the public policy on that. So you can make the appraisal the expert is a little too much. I would probably say that.
Thank you,
It's a
Vodka.
congressional campaign.
So you're not a cybersecurity expert at all then?
Oh my god. Jeez, what am I supposed to think? Like, hearing her talk. She's had experiences, fair enough. I know.
I think I would form extremely good cybersecurity policy for the country.
So you're not a cybersecurity expert at all then? I'd also like to point out that last week you were saying how amazing Stardust's video on Frogan was, which included a whole section talking about how Frogan wasn't an expert because she only had a master's and 2 years experience in the field.
Ouch.
By that metric, Brianna, you were an absolute horrific liar in your congressional ad when you're trying to take public.
She doesn't think very much when she says things. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. She just kind of comes out with whatever, and then it probably doesn't fit all sorts of things she said before. Yeah.
Office. Probably the worst time to lie that I can possibly imagine.
Okay, you can make that assessment.
Yep, I will make that assessment. You are a sick person, truly sick.
I muted him for that.
Agreement. So I'm gonna say this. If we're gonna go through this, like, you're getting, I guess what we're kind of doing now for the sake of flow is I'm not Brianna, right? So this is her history.
He has to say it in the longest way possible. Like, I don't dislike counterpoints particularly. I don't know what the fuck he's doing here. This is strange as fuck to me. But like, I've seen him on other stuff where often I'm just waiting for him to finish talking because I'm not sure what he's bringing. And he likes to go around the houses a bit, as does Brianna, as you can tell. Maybe that's why they're teaming up. They can both just let each other ramble off, and I don't know.
She's telling the story as it is. If you have
Actually, no, I know why he's in with her. It's because his career hasn't really gone that many places in however long, and now it probably is.
Contradictory evidence, that's fine. And we can go back and forth on it. I think what's going to drag this down, though, is, for instance, if, Brianna's making a response, you're smugly laughing, so then you get, muted every single time. Then we listen to Brianna talk for a minute. Then you say, that's not true. And then we just repeat that like 30 times. That's probably not going to be decent content. So if possible,
I'd agree. If I stopped getting muted, it'd be way better content.
Like chill on the personal shit, but more present like contradictory information or the way that you see it or something like that, I would be.
Why wouldn't he tell her to like, maybe not ramble quite so much, like maybe answer questions a bit more directly? Because fuck, I find it hard to listen to someone that talks that much when asked fairly simple questions.
I mean, that's fine by me, or I think that would be better content.
No, I think you've seen enough Destiny content to know that it's important to interrupt someone when they start building a whole point based on lies in the first sentence. No, I think I will keep interrupting if Brianna's going to lie.
I'm not lying, dude.
You did lie to me. You did lie to me. Okay, I've been muted again. I've been muted again. She can't hear it.
This is like out of control. This is what happens when you get given power and you're that kind of person who gets carried away. This is just what happens.
She can't take it.
Interested in the truth.
She can't take it.
You're coming into this conversation with a point of view, and you're just.
See, look at this. It's just that it's
to answer these questions. We can go through it one at a time, but just
look. See, look how the energy changes. I was defaming her a minute ago. I was defaming you a minute ago. Where like all of a sudden now you're falling back. I thought you were going to disprove everything I said. I thought this was going to be.
So we can save this until the end, dude. But I know you've probably never read a book on communication law. And
he's never read a book on communication law. Not everyone needs to read a book, and plenty of people who read books are still not intelligent. Because when someone's read a book, I don't know what they've taken from it. I don't know what approach they've taken going into it. I don't know what it is they think they've read versus what they have read. There's way too much in it. Like, fuck, we had, what was her name? Frida Wallace. And she has all these like books behind her. And apart from that, it's clearly like part of the performance because you read the titles. It's like stuff like How to Spot a Fascist and stuff like that. She also clearly isn't that knowledgeable for having all those books. So I don't know why telling people to read books is ever a good point, quite frankly.
How this works.
I don't know why she's lecturing him on being like a good communicator when she has to mute people, when she has to like ramble off for 5 minutes just to answer a fairly simple question.
I think you should be able to clearly explain to me what the lie is, where I was lying.
Jesus Christ, Connor, I can't do this if I can't get a sentence.
Oh, Connor, help me. Connor, please. Connor, sweep for me.
Out. I'm being calm. He's being a jackass. This is crazy. So I know you've probably never read a book on communication law, but when you say things about people, there's some things that protect you from defamatory lawsuits. One of the major tools is reportage. This is very, very helpful. So if I...
God, he's just being lectured over and over. If this is what like talking to Brianna Wu is like, are people going to want to? Are people going to want to work with you?
I can point to something and say, I'm not saying this. I'm not claiming this. The New York Times is saying this. That is a higher...
I mean, it's all right if you're a sycophant like this guy, but not everyone is. So, I don't know. She's one of the ones saying that we need to have conversations across the aisle. And TRA shit is very insular and just goes crazier and crazier because it's a bubble. And I agree with all that shit. But I don't think she lives a lot of that, if you know what I mean. And I do feel like she acts a lot like these TRAs that she claims to hate so much. And we already saw one example with bringing up all the addictions and stuff. A lot of seeding the conversation with this like victim narrative.
The level of credibility than if you were to point to I don't know, Kiwi Farms.
I
or
never
source
clicked
something
Kiwi
from
Farms.
Kiwi Farms there. So I think when you're publishing things and putting it out there and you're ignoring contradictory evidence, to be really clear, I don't have any intention of suing anyone today. But one of the reasons I won my lawsuit against Alex Jones is I was aware of these standards and I tailored my public comments to meet those standards of defamation, which is why Alex Jones was not.
Why doesn't she tailor more of her public comments then? She says some like really unhinged shit on Twitter. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. Like, why are you bringing all this up when... I know, let's carry on.
Successful. So that's what I was saying.
I didn't source Kiwi Farms for any of this stuff. So that's okay. It's all on the web archive. It's all in various articles written online. I actually did cite that David Whitmer article you mentioned. I didn't remember his name, but I do actually have the article in there. I have actually read that article, so I'm perfectly aware of that.
Piece.
So
it contradicts other evidence that you're putting out there.
Well, oh yeah, what does it contradict?
If you're claiming that I claim to go to Ole Miss for a decade, that's not true.
You claimed it before that article came out. You claimed it before that article came out.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I didn't
yeah.
go
The
to
time
Ole
you've
Miss
got
for a
these muddled.
decade. I moved
you've got the timeline muddled here. You were
moved
lying
to
about.
Did you just tell him to mute? Okay, hang on. So is it...
Timeline muddled here. You were
moved
lying
to
about having.
Jackson.
I
Okay.
think it's him doing the muting and not her, but I could be wrong.
I went to Millsaps, I think, for a year,
Dude.
and then I worked on my startup, and then I moved to DC. So there it is.
Okay, you were claiming to have a degree before this article came out. So this article
That's not
doesn't
true.
contradict
That's
anything.
not
That
true.
is true, because the degree.
Connor, can we keep going?
It was revealed.
This is
No,
really
well,
taking-
you're
hold on,
lying to me, Brianna, straight up.
Like, does she not want her feet held to the fire? I mean, she's a public figure. You have to be able to deal with that.
Because
I'm
you
not lying.
were outed
I
as not having a
can't
degree in
remember.
2015. This was released in 2016.
Okay,
Sorry,
if
April
you
2015.
want to say that me as an internet anonymous person misspoke at some point, that's fine. In my
It's not just then. We established that. It was when you were public in Gamergate.
Life, I've
when you were
been
public.
extremely honest and
That's
direct
not-
with people about this. I'm telling you
Oh, he's muted again. He's saying the exact opposite, but she's not even hearing it. So
right now, I did not successfully get my college degree.
I muted
like,
again.
that's the other thing. Like, he should be, if he's here, maybe it should be as like a moderator, but he'd have to get her to speak for a minute or two and then get him to respond and like structure it that way, not just let Brianna do what she wants and mute Queeman every time he tries to get in when she's talking so much. Like, I don't like people that constantly cut people off in arguments. I've mentioned it in ones that I've watched before, like TV debates and stuff with trans rights activists who love to do that kind of shit, and it's really fucking annoying. It's a little different when every one of your sentences or every one of your statements is like fucking 5 minutes long. You know what I'm saying? Like, at a certain point, there's things that just aren't appropriate, and I think rambling on that much, that often, and expecting people not to have a problem with that is like wild to me.
I would hope that most people out there would understand that I had drug addiction at the time. And my
Look at this
family
desperate plea for.
And there we go, the victim narrative. This is trans rights activist 101, and these are the people she criticizes apparently. I think she acts just like them in many ways. She just claims to disagree with them, that's all.
Trauma.
The very last bit of it, which left me homeless, which was an incredibly stressful situation. You know, it's something.
And this is like all for having lied about finishing college or getting a degree, whatever it was. Like, why not just cop to it? Why not just be like, yeah, I lied about that in the past, I didn't do it anymore, which he even has acknowledged. Like, why not do that? But instead, we've got to go on and on and on and on with all the fucking minutia of her life going on at that point. Do you know what I'm... Jesus Christ. I don't know. If it was me, I'd just cop to that myself.
Used to feel really guilty about.
Don't care.
And honestly, it's
Don't
not
care.
affected my life that much.
I think the play for trauma is very pathetic and manipulative and narcissistic.
Yes, it is fucking manipulative as shit. And hey, Keffals is going to come up later because I'm going to try and get through this whole thing. Keffals is going to come up later. She did the exact same thing, only she was manipulating people into giving her money, which she then did not spend it on what she publicly stated she will, so.
telling you the truth of what happened. You don't
no,
have
it's
to
a
believe
desperate manipulation tactic because you've repeatedly
It's
lied
not
to
a
me in this conversation.
manipulation
When I've brought
tactic,
up
dude. I'm
specific
telling you
instances,
what
I brought up
happened.
Can she not see why it comes across? Sorry, I just saw the muted your mic come up again. This is like out of control. This is fucking weird. Can she not see how it comes across as manipulative? Like, has no one ever tried to manipulate her by doing something like, oh, you know, humor me with this thing or I'll like kill myself or something? Like, really? She's been around enough trans people and she's been very recently burned by one. She's very recently come to realize, thanks finally to like the fucking, how many people has it been that have exposed keffals until Mutahar did? That many. It took her that long. Is there nothing going in her head that's like, shit, I need to kind of reevaluate this shit? Because she does the same thing.
Stop cutting me off. She cut me
Connor,
off.
Can we keep the show going, man?
Well, okay, but I want to point out this dynamic because if we keep
Can we keep
Up specific instances, I brought up stop cutting me off. She cut me off.
Can we keep the show going, man?
Well, okay, but I want to point out this dynamic because if we keep doing this, then it's going to be just as toxic as it is right.
Yeah, because he's taking one person's side, right? Oh my god, how can you not see this? How can he not understand what's going on here?
Right now for the next like hour.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I would borderline prefer Queeman to kind of bring up his criticisms rather than us flowing through it because now.
Okay, so we have. Okay, it's fine. We can move on. We can move past it.
Hold on.
Hold
on. I just want to. Okay, so I want to point out the formulaic dynamic. Okay.
This is great. How long? So nearly 23 minutes. We've already had one conversation about the conversation that went on for a decent while. We're now going to have another conversation about the conversation.
So, the formulaic dynamic is I wrote down all the criticisms
I'm gonna
that
snap.
were in the video.
I'm gonna snap.
Queen
I'm losing it.
got a 20
I would have lost it like long ago.
minute head start by doing the video, right? So now we're going through it and we're responding to it. And then basically what's happening is so far we have two, if I was to summarize the points that we made so far, is that according to Queeman, Brianna claimed to have a degree. Brianna is saying that she doesn't have a degree, but she does have a decent amount of credits in college. I don't think that's contested.
That's not a degree.
At least.
Oh, so it's... Oh, he's such a sycophant. I am losing so much respect for counterpoints in real time. Oh my god, what are you doing, man? Oh well, she lied about not having a degree, but she did get like this many credits, which I think is indisputable. Disgusting. Why emasculate yourself to this level, man?
Then cybersecurity expert Brianna is saying that she used that as an accolade while going through Congress because people in Congress are not particularly tech savvy. And she's been talking about tech and politics for the past decade. That's how I would summarize the Brianna point. And then Queeman is saying, well, that's not enough. And on top of that, in a recent thing for somebody that you've allied yourself with, you kind of laughed at the fact that somebody with a master's degree isn't a expert. So that's kind of like the summary of the two perspectives so far. But we're not getting to the guts of it, I guess.
If we could get through like one back and forth without a factual inaccuracy from the other side, that would help. Okay, I've been muted again. Crazy, I haven't spoken in 10 minutes.
Oh man, how many times? I don't have a counter or anything to do this, but it's been ridiculous already. It's like less than half an hour. Has it been 5-6 times? Like, what is this?
With the claims I was making about Stardust, most of what I liked about that video was the anti-Semitism. I don't think I publicly commented on the health expert thing.
She didn't comment on the video. She just approved the video.
I could understand why Frogan would say that. I
the
thought
other
Stardust had a good point with that, but it wasn't something I publicly commented on. Just to be clear.
Okay, yeah, you didn't comment on any specific part. You just said it was an amazing video and retweeted it. Yeah,
it was an amazing video.
That is at least a little bit of an endorsement of everything. If you didn't go into more detail, I guess. I mean, someone could say, hey, do you think this because, you know, whatever. Maybe she'd kind of elaborate more, but hey, I don't know.
At making that attack, and you didn't.
I still think we're getting into the best stuff in a bit.
Found strongest was the anti-Semitism and really documenting that, to be clear.
Yeah, so
Right.
this is
And then
okay, go for it, Connor.
Sorry,
Yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
it's okay.
No,
No,
go
it's counterfire. It's counterfire. You guys talk.
Well, I'm just going to keep pointing out the dynamic over and over again. So how about you go, so maybe we can get into some meat?
Why? Why?
Yeah, sure. Would you just
Why? Why do you need to talk about the dynamic again? It's been like 3 times now, or it would have been if you hadn't just said that.
describe Total Biscuit as a transphobic, sexist leader of harassment, Brianna?
All right, here we go.
To be really
And
honest,
by the way, that is exactly the kind of TRA behavior that maybe she'll cop to that she engaged in. But it's the same shit she's now criticizing. So, like, why not live your principles? What's the point in criticizing TRAs and then acting the same way as them? I don't understand at all.
I had so much trauma during Gamergate. I don't.
There it is, trauma again, seeding it with this victim narrative. This is what trans people do. She can criticize TRAs all she wants. She does the same thing.
Ever seen Total Biscuit's work. I don't think I could make an assessment on that today. For a lot of Gamergate, and Connor can back me up on this, I've talked a lot about how I didn't handle many things very well. I'd handled them differently today. But I'm not familiar enough with his work to make that assessment. I think in the time, he was a complete ass to me online, and certainly drove a lot of harassment my way. So I think I would say that.
I believe
Drove harassment her way. Even that is like, I mean, she's talking in retrospect, but fuck. It's always like that. Like, did he get any harassment from like her followers or whatever, or whatever followers she had? I'm not really sure. I don't know.
there was one tweet where he called you a worthless hypocrite, but you actually said last year, you said, when Total Biscuit died, I bit my tongue. I didn't want to say anything, but that's allowed people to whitewash a serious, horrific history of extreme harassment.
Last year. Jesus. And how long has she been criticizing TRAs for? This is the same shit again. Did she learn the issues since then? I don't understand.
That doesn't sound like someone who's just never seen the work. You're saying he has a legacy of extreme harassment.
That's completely, that works exactly with what I just said. He
No, it does
drove
not.
a ton of harassment to my door.
With one
That's
tweet.
100% true.
Did he?
I just said that.
With one tweet, saying you're a
With one
hypocrite.
tweet. No, he tweeted at me a ton. I remember one tweet he sent said, "I'm absolutely done taking anything Brianna Wu says seriously."
That's his opinion. Is he not allowed to say that? Is that driving harassment? Can he be completely held responsible for anyone that sees his tweet and agrees with him and decides to jump on you for it? Yeah, fuck. I'm just going to keep saying I don't understand because like nothing's making sense to me about what she's saying. I don't really understand what she's about when she's critical of an aspect of society that I fully agree with and I'm very much on board with the things that she says about TRAs, but she does the same shit. I'm going to keep saying that over and over, I feel.
Like it was.
That's the same tweet that's the exact same tweet I'm talking about. That's the I'm absolutely done. That's the exact same tweet I'm talking about. That's the one where Total Biscuit said, "I'm sick of pretending Brianna Wu is anything but a worthless fucking hypocrite." That's the exact.
Well, he did drive a ton of harassment to my door.
Okay,
His
so that was
terrible
a
to
lie
me.
that you repeated up until last
It's
year.
not
That was
a
not true.
lie.
He was
It
because
is-
he was not a leader of harassment. He made one tweet calling you a hypocrite. That's a total mischaracterization.
Daddy,
of who
he
he is.
did a lot more than that. His audience.
Well, you
was
haven't shown that.
absolutely- I've already told you I didn't handle everything during Gamergate.
You've been asked for but you've been asked for evidence in this last year when you made that tweet. You were asked for evidence again, and you were refusing to give it. And you were saying that if you just don't get it, and you're denying the trauma. That's what you were saying.
Oh, Queeman's really turning it around on her. That he's letting them talk more, which is good. I'm glad.
No, I'm saying that his audience drove a lot of bullshit to my door. He also went after Zoe Quinn a ton, and I think
That's not
this
true
is
either.
what you
That's a lie.
From you know what? I'm talking my impression of things 10 years ago. I honestly don't.
Well, she's going to be very biased 10 years ago, considering how full on she was about Gamergate. I mean, it's still important to her now, clearly. Like, find any tweet flip a coin, it'll have Gamergate in it. When did Gamergate happen? I don't even fucking remember, quite honestly.
Don't remember the Total Biscuit stuff.
But do you understand there's a problem with your impression of things 10 years ago if you're repeating that now? I've let you talk for the whole time, you stupid.
Oh, there's the mute right there. Oh my god.
I honestly don't remember the Total Biscuit stuff.
But do you understand there's a problem with your impression of things 10 years ago if you're repeating that now? I've let you talk for the whole time, you stupid.
Integrity. If
you please censor that.
4 seconds.
Please censor that.
Can't answer your questions. So
you're not answering the questions. You're not doing that.
Connor, is there any worth to this, man?
Okay. So what I would say is the worth it from my perspective.
Is the content.
Is that I think that.
Okay, another conversation about the conversation. Still not reached the half-hour mark yet. And to be fair, the first 5+ minutes were Queeman waiting for Connor and whoever to finish talking, so.
The commentary community can be abrasive, but they also can present us with facts. But I think that just because there are facts doesn't mean that these facts are mutually exclusive.
You said that already. It doesn't mean these facts are mutually exclusive.
Sure.
So for instance, if I don't know Total Biscuit, right? I wasn't huge in the Gamergate days. But as an example, if we go back to Total Biscuit's history and we check out his tweet history and we see this, that, the other, where he's talking shit about the Gamergate girls and Anita Sarkeesian sucks.
Literally, he was exceedingly progressive for the time. He was exceedingly progressive, and he did interviews with the BBC where he was.
He's getting mad at him interrupting Connor. Like, what is Connor even really bringing to this conversation?
Explicitly denouncing the harassment of Zoe Quinn and stating that nobody should be going after Zoe Quinn. They should be going after the journalists who made the reviews, if anyone. He said specifically, stay away from. What are you doing? Why are you going after Zoe Quinn? It's not her that's made an ethical violation. He was very clear, very specific with everything he said. And yet Brianna has continued until last year to mischaracterize us. It's not just that you said.
Yeah, and mischaracterizing a dead guy at that, which is kind of fucked. Like, he can't defend himself.
During Gamergate, and you've got this odd perception, and you've moved on from then. No, you're repeating this, and you are constantly trying to reiterate. You did it the year before as well, that his legacy was people harassing women in his name. You've constantly tried to smear this guy, both alive and dead.
Can I make my point now? And I don't want.
Yeah, now I've managed to speak for like 3 seconds at a time. Yeah, you can go, Brianna. I'm allowing that.
The stress sigh is real. There's so many. To be fair, you can make a great drinking game out of this. We've got Gamergate. Anytime mentioned, anytime she sighs, every time the mic gets muted. Yeah, if you wanna kill yourself, then I guess that's a way. I'm not endorsing that. Don't do that.
It's so childish. So, something happened during Gamergate.
It's so childish having muted his mic. Come on, man. How old is she? She's like 47 or something. God, I have so many moments these days. Because people have like gaslit me into thinking, oh, it's the kids that are doing all the crazy shit online that I'm all bent out of shape over. But most of them are like older than me. The amount of people that I see that I'm like, oh my God, actually kill me if I'm like that at your age. Like, I'm having that feeling again.
As I was traumatized, I legitimately cannot remember much of Total Biscuit. You could probably.
Well, if she can't remember very much because she was so traumatized, why not just accept that maybe she said some fucked up shit that was wrong? Instead of, well, I can't remember because I was traumatized. Like, that's weak. That's really weak. That's extremely weak coming from someone who's old enough to know better. And by the way, I'm pretty sure she was older than me now when Gamergate was going on. I would have been like 24 or some shit.
Find
and stop talking about
articles where I've talked about my blurry memory from Gamergate. So if I'm misremembering this and I was unfair to him at the time, it would not surprise me at all. I would be the first person to admit it.
You'd be, oh my God, I'm not gonna.
Honest recollection, which I'm telling you truthfully right now, is that his audience was harassing me.
That's not him, that's his audience. What the hell? And how do you know that they were all his audience anyway? When we talk about like, oh, trans people have harassed J.K. Rowling, what's the first thing people say? It's like, oh, well, you don't know if those are trans people. They could be anyone. Well, that applies to everyone then.
I was getting so many death threats in those days. Like,
I mean, was she not kicking a hornet's nest? I don't approve of death threats, but like, there was a real hornet's nest around this whole issue. Like, fuck. It's not that I'm saying she deserved it, but You got to come to expect that kind of thing, maybe. I don't know. What is this doing? Go away.
Like, I doubt I could tell one end from the other. So it's entirely possible, to be honest with you.
No retraction, no apology, no, you know, maybe I slandered a dead guy here. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. This is what people talk about when they say accountability. And to be fair, when people apologize for stuff, it's never good enough, it seems. There's always shit that people are going to pick at, which maybe is why people don't bother apologizing anymore. I don't know, but it would have been better than nothing.
You notice how every time you own up to something, it's, but, okay, I didn't get my degree, but I had
Oh, yeah, all the excuses, but I guess I can see, yeah, oh, come on.
a lot of trauma when I was homeless. Okay, that wasn't true about Total Biscuit, but I've got a lot of trauma. Do you notice how there's never an honest acceptance of accountability or the fact you fucked up and did something
Oh my
wrong?
God, what did I just fucking say? Here we go.
It's always, there's some other terrible thing going on in my life that is causing me to act this way, so no one can be mad at me about it. Like,
I didn't say no one can be mad at me.
Okay, well then do you acknowledge the fact that you have done, you did insane damage to Total Biscuit's reputation off of no evidence. You had no evidence for the claims you were making, that he was a sexist, transphobic leader of harassment.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, hold on. Before we get to what she should have fucking done straight away, counterpoints has to come in again. He's been really useful so far. Is this going to be another fucking meta conversation?
There, Queeman, because that, you know, we're talking about exaggerations of harm. Are you exaggerating harm there? Did Total Biscuit suffer any consequences as a result of journalists saying that he was transphobic or aggressive or harassing?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, he probably would have, no?
I'm pretty sure I remember that.
I'm asking.
I'm pretty sure I remember a bunch of shit going down the day. Like, there was, I mean, look, if you were involved in Gamergate, I would never deny this. Either side you're on, people were taking reputational damage, losing opportunities, bomb threats being called at speaking events. This was happening on both sides. So I would never deny anything like that. The point is that my issue is more that Total Biscuit had made one tweet about Brianna, and apparently he's a leader of harassment. Yet Brianna isn't a leader of harassment, even though she made essentially a campaign past this guy's death to continue spreading mistruths about him.
Now hold on. Let's be fair here. It is 100% accurate that I did not comment on his death when he died.
That's not what he's talking about. Why are you being so snaky? Oh my God. Again, how can you criticize people that you act exactly the same way as? It's always slipping past the point without really directly acknowledging it. Never really taking accountability for anything, even if you're pretending to like take accountability. You know, you're pretending to own up to a mistake that you're not really like disavowing now or apologizing for or anything. And the guy's dead. I mean, he can't do anything about any of this. He's long gone, you know. It's a bit fucked. I don't know how she's not hearing how this sounds. Like, yeah, I guess if I fucked up like that, I'd want people to understand the circumstances, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't own up to something if I did something wrong and if I have no evidence of what it was exactly that happened. Because, like, if you're getting harassed, wouldn't you want to, like, save some evidence of it so that in the future, if this comes up, you've got shit to show people? I don't know.
I don't believe that is true.
Hold on.
When was the date of that tweet?
Dude.
There we go, muted again.
I don't want to keep muting you. Let me make my points, please. Can we please act like
I don't want to keep muting.
Not if you're going to lie. Not if you're going to lie.
Even if you don't agree with my point of view.
It's not about not agreeing. It's about factual
Okay?
inaccuracies.
So what I was going to say is with Total Biscuit, this is my genuine reaction. When he died, his wife, what was her name? He had a wife that was grieving, and I was like, you know, I'm married. I can imagine like your spouse dying. I would not want to contribute to that. So I very, very deliberately for that entire time after he passed, just made the decision to say nothing. And I did not bring him up for years and years and years and years. In fact,
wow, you're such a good person.
I would bet a lot of money that if you're talking like you put out a tweet the other day, was that a tweet I put out or was I like responding to a question that someone asked me?
I know I didn't say the other day.
What does it matter?
I said it was about a year ago, but yeah,
okay,
sure.
But for that, I was probably responding to something. Like I'm not trying to.
Has she seen the tweet? Has she seen the video? Let's see.
I bet a lot of money there. Maybe I'm mistaken.
You
But
were
I very
quote tweeting
deliberately-
Keffals. You were quote tweeting Keffals, who I believe was talking about someone who had recently died, because you were talking on the topic of talking about someone's crime when they died. I think you were just adding your own story. I don't think she was talking about Total
Okay.
Biscuit. I think
Sure.
you brought up Total Biscuit and decided to start
Okay, that's
saying
fair.
this again.
But it had been, I mean, that was like what, 8 years after he died?
Yeah, does it make it less wrong?
Well, I'm trying to make you understand my thought process there. You
Okay,
can disagree with
Does her thought process really matter? Bearing in mind what the end result was, should I say?
this assessment. that this
You
is what-
still haven't
Hold
really
on,
acknowledged the
Queeman,
fact there was no
Queeman,
basis for it.
Queeman.
Why don't you take notes, Queeman?
I mean, I can, but we're going to sit here and just go through fucking...
Jeez, why don't you take notes? Oh my god. Why would anyone want to, like, work with these people if this is what they do? If this is what happens when you disagree with them? If this is what happens when they do something that you perceive as wrong and you try and point it out to them?
fucking live for 5
Jesus
minutes at a
Christ.
time.
Yeah, you're going to sit here
insufferable.
for 60 seconds to 90 seconds, or else she's going to mute you, and then we're going to sit here for 60 to 90 seconds anyway. So why don't you
So he's blaming her. He's saying she's muting her, Queeman.
just take notes and wait for her to be done?
That's right.
'Cause I'm cooking
So
like...
with this, what had happened for literally years with Total Biscuit is I've constantly gotten a drumbeat of criticism that has really,
Good.
really frustrated me
Good.
for years.
So he frustrated you with criticism. I mean, hey, that's what I'm trying to do as well. So I hope I frustrate someone with my criticism, and I hope they fucking come at me for it, because that's kind of what I'm looking for. I need some fucking conversations on this shit. Not this shit, on trans rights.
Years.
Good.
Because I don't remember if Zoe Quinn did this or not, but it was a lot of people around Gamergate, like a lot of social justice people. You see this, like they can be instinctively cruel, and they did. When he died, they completely celebrated. It was horrible to see, and I very deliberately did not participate in that. So what I'm
You made the active choice to not participate, I guess. I don't know.
telling you is it's been really frustrating for me. Like, you're talking about damaging reputations. I've had
So damage his reputation back? Is that the goal?
people accuse me of glorying in Total Biscuit's death for years and years and years, and not like one random tweet 8 years later. I'm talking like constantly. So it hurts my reputation, and frankly, it's beneath the standards that I hold myself to. So that's why I was saying that.
I don't know. You said he has a horrific history of extreme harassment. You weren't just saying, oh, you know, I think it's really
I wonder if she has some kind of pathological need to be understood in everything she does, even when she does wrong things, and maybe that's why she's getting irritated with him.
important that we all just don't say bad things about someone when they die. That's not what you were saying. You were saying the opposite. You were saying this guy was a total piece of shit and I should have said it at the time.
So my memory, and I will completely agree with you, this could be flawed. Like, you're drawing attention to something I'd assumed was true. But this is my truthful memory, is Total Biscuit and like Gamergate all unified around Total Biscuit, kind of taking him as a paragon. And he seemed to me like his audience was really, really invested in harassing me. So, you know, that is honestly how I felt. If I did a deep dive on that today, I might come to a different conclusion, but it's honestly what I was thinking at the time.
It doesn't matter what she was thinking at the time. I don't know why she keeps coming back to this. I don't know why it's so important to her that Queeman understands her mental state at the time, which she supposedly can't really remember because of all the trauma anyway. We're just going around the point in circles. This is pointless. If you're not gonna own up to anything, then what's the point? Why even agree to this conversation? What, so you can explain your thought process? He doesn't give a shit about your thought process. He cares about the shit that you've done that you're so far not really taking any accountability for.
Okay, so I mean, I would just like to acknowledge the fact that you came into this conversation talking about my research skills, but you have been repeating claims about someone for years with no research done. Interesting.
I'm telling you,
is that a fair characterization of the situation? If she said it,
Yes.
like, I mean, I post like, hold on, real quick, just because I post a half dozen tweets or a dozen tweets per day or whatever. So is one flippant tweet about like, I used to talk shit about this guy, I think this guy's an asshole or whatever. Now that he's dead, I felt
Flippant tweet. Well, you say it. It's on the internet forever. Like, should people think more about what they tweet? Probably.
comfortable about talking shit, but I still think he's a dick. Is that like a harassment campaign to smear Total Biscuit's memory?
Well, like, why not say nothing? I mean, he's dead now anyway. Like, he can't defend himself. You're just gonna look like a dick doing it. There's no other real result from that.
It started while he was alive, right? It started when she was at panels at some conference where she said Total Biscuit's one of the most toxic, transphobic, sexist harassers in gaming, or something to this effect. And then it showed one of his tweets at a presentation about death threats, I believe, as well.
So I tell you what, like, I mean this in really good faith. If his
she's being good faith, so that definitely means she's being good faith. Okay.
If his widow wants to reach out and talk about this,
honest people don't say I'm being good faith because they don't have to.
I'd genuinely be interested to look at all those situations, and maybe I got it wrong back then. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Just, oh my God. Just take it on the chin.
There's a lot of stuff. Like, let me tell you, I don't think Shu will mind me saying this story. Yeah, Shu on Head is another person that I had a ton of conflict with during Gamergate. And I think it was about a year ago, she sent me a PM going, you know, basically, yeah, I'm really sorry about all the conflict we had. It got out of hand. And I said, oh, no, I've been meaning to do the same thing to
Well, Total Biscuit can't do that anymore, can he?
you. It completely got out of hand. I'm sorry. And we've been friendly with each other ever since. Like, I would be extremely eager to mend bridges there.
What, so potentially you'd have talked shit behind her back if she died or something, or if she'd never done that?
If we could.
Well, it's great to hear that you've turned over a new leaf after a decade on that insane claim that you've been repeatedly saying.
I think you're
I'm stunned. I don't think I am whatsoever. That's okay. So
fine.
the Eagle Nation.
She clearly has no understanding of why he's going so hard as well. Like, to her, this is just some kind of civil conversation, but she's ducking and diving everything and doing everything to avoid really admitting fault in a meaningful way or taking any accountability. This is cringe behavior. This is actually cringe.
That's a good one.
Actually, can we go through Connor's list? Because that
we can go through. Absolutely, we can go through Connor's list. I think the Eagle Nation's on there, in fact.
All right. Even remember.
Give me a second to pull up my list, please.
You should, because it's in every appearance you've ever done, including the Sci-Fi Internet Ruined My Life show. It's the one where Jace Connors said he was going to street race you to death.
That guy, yeah.
Well, let's save that because that's actually one that I wouldn't mind pressing on a little bit. But so the next one that I had was claimed poverty during game making phase, but lived in Frank's uncle's house rent free, and parents were rich Republican donors.
That's from the that is from the Whitmer article. That is from the Whitmer article that you lived in Frank's uncle's house. My
parents helped pay for this.
No, that's not what anyone said. That's not what anyone said, actually, Brianna. If you want, just Connor, do you want to repeat that?
It's a good job he didn't get muted then, because we were about to get a whole fucking 10-minute story about why her parents didn't fund it.
That's what Connor, yeah.
And again, that's a fucking common TRA trope. Like, misrepresenting someone's argument and then arguing with that, like straw manning or whatever. And she does it, like, constantly. Like, it's like culturally she is one of these people, but she just has a few problems with them and disagrees with them on their methodology or something, but she's still one of them.
Want me to read that again?
Yeah. Brandon obviously didn't hear it, so...
Okay, so the implication was that the specific quote that I remember was eating rice and beans a shitload in order to be able to make payroll.
I did.
And claimed poverty during the game making in order to eat rice and beans to make payroll, but you actually lived in Frank's uncle's house rent free.
That's right.
And parents were rich Republican donors.
That was about the upbringing specifically. These are two sort of different claims again.
So okay. I thought from Connor's comment they were related. Yeah. So first of all, this is something that really upsets me when people act as though my parents have anything to do with my.
Motorbikes. She mentioned her parents again. Is she still not quite getting the question? Let's see.
Success. I've not talked to them, I believe, since, God, when was the John Kerry election? Was that 2004? I think they disowned me around 2005. So it has been a
But it's a great opportunity to get more victim points in, so.
really, really, really long time since I've talked to my parents. They've not helped me at all. And it really frustrates me when people like talk as though they may have anything to do with my success today. They didn't help buy my house. They certainly didn't help buy any
I mean, they gave birth to you.
of my cars. You know, they've abandoned me.
You recognize
And
that's
it really-
that's totally
hold on,
delusional to
hold
say
on,
that people who raised you for
hold
20
on.
years don't have anything to do with
really,
your
frankly,
success.
hurt me a lot.
Oh, man.
Did I have the advantage of growing up with really well-off parents? 100%.
Oh yeah, so now
I
okay.
think a really good example of this is me going to rehab. Yeah, I went to the PEP program, which was the same
She was an
place that
addict.
Tiger
Oh,
Woods
shit,
went
my
to for his sex addiction, even back in parents. 100%.
Oh yeah, so now
I think a really good example of this is me going to rehab.
So bringing up addiction again, got it.
Yeah, I went to the PEP program, which was the same place that Tiger Woods went to for his sex addiction, even back in, what year was this? 2002, I think. Yeah, this was a $30,000 a month live at the hospital kind of place. That is insane privilege to be able to go there. But that doesn't mean I'm lying when I said there have been times in my life where I've really struggled with poverty. For my game studio, we were living in Frank's uncle's house rent free. The majority of everything.
Can you say you're impoverished if you're living somewhere rent-free? Maybe it depends on your income, but that's a huge advantage you have.
Frank and I made was going to pay payroll. We paid Maria, we paid Amanda, we had to pay voice actors. Frank actually would get off of work because we couldn't afford a 3D modeler and did work all evening in Inventor Fusion. And then we came up with this weird pipeline to turn Inventor Fusion.
What game did they make, by the way? I've never heard of them making a game. Maybe they did. Who knows?
Fusion stuff into, from NURBS to polygonal models. So I'm not lying. That was a tremendously stressful, like, financial period of my life. Thank God it's so much better now.
Okay, so my issue with that is that it's in the presentation, right? Is that you'll present it as though you were super hard done by, but you actually had all of these advantages coming in from all around the outside that were set up for you, not by any work of your own, but by the circumstances of you and Frank's.
Her face, oh my god.
Familial
I
connections.
think
Surprise Pikachu fit. Hang on.
Any work of your own, but by the circumstances of you
It's a bit surprise Pikachu. Just angle it slightly.
and Frank's familial connections.
I think if you looked at my comments through Gamergate, there would be a lot of acknowledging privilege. I will tell you right now, I 100% acknowledge that. I've also had some really tough stuff happen in my life that has given me a ton of resilience. And, I was looking today, I've been sober for 21 years. That didn't.
Sometimes it feels like she's answering completely different questions to what he's asking. It's a really strange, it just feels slippery. Like, automatically, I don't know how it sounds to someone who's a lot more amenable to her than I am. And I'm the kind of person, generally I want to like her because I very much agree on the trans rights issue. And I think what she's saying is actually really important and very true. And this is, turning me off massively. So in some ways, I am the kind of person that goes in fairly amenable to her because I agree with her on some stuff. But this is, painful. I just want to hear people answer questions occasionally. It feels like we can't do that anymore. And what's the point in complaining about this movement that's become utterly ridiculous and does this kind of shit constantly, never actually answers questions that people have, and make anyone feel like shit for asking questions, should I say. But she does the same shit, fuck me.
Didn't happen serendipitously. That takes a lot of willpower to do that. And I'm very proud of that.
This has all of the energy of some, Dem politician who's been caught with a hand in the cookie jar.
But no one's saying you can't be proud of things in your life. My point was more about the fact that you presented it as though it was like all self-made. You worked from scratch.
No,
it's not quite.
No,
quite.
I'm not. I would not present myself that way.
What we need is a Brianna Wu AI cover of that. Started from the bottom, now we're here by Drake. If I ever figure out how to do AI music, I'm doing that.
Sure, that's okay. That's
or I could just put a voice on. I could probably do that. She's in a similar register to me, I think, just with a different, she has a different accent, obviously.
The disagreement presentation, I'd agree that's probably a weaker point, for sure.
I mean, this is, I think this is something.
Well, hold on. That was almost a Queeman concession.
Yeah.
I'll concede to the fact that it's all in framing. It's all in the framing, ultimately. Isn't
something
it?
I would
that's fair enough.
Say is looking at this time period of my life in retrospect, my parents really used their money to control me and to limit the things I was able to do in my life. And, it's not them disowning me was the most painful thing I ever went through. But if you look at my career, my life after that, I got married, I did a bunch of things I'm very proud of. And it's really when my life started. So I think people tend to think that those backgrounds are like idyllic, and it just wasn't the reality that I have.
Okay. Still with us? All right, cool. I'm kind of skipping the smaller ones because I think it's like framing. There was like clubbing with Chelsea Manning. I don't think we really need.
Yeah, this is fair, to be fair. At least he's trying to move the conversation on now instead of holding it back for once.
To get into that unless either one of you want to.
That was just about having the Washington connections, but yeah, sure.
Right. I didn't think that would make or break this conversation.
No, absolutely not.
So
the phases she's doing again, like this is like Demon Mama tier, like Demon Mama from 2 or 3 years ago tier, like shit.
Then Jesse Singal, I'll just be charitable to Queeman and bring this one up. Brianna, allegedly, you criticized Jesse Singal for bad sourcing and thought that he was hypercritical of trans issues. And then Jesse Singal, in return, said, or wait, and then you also
please say
single.
Say single next time, please. I'm begging. Don't say single, please.
Single. So Jesse Single. And you also claim that Jesse Single tried to get you fired. Jesse Single's counterclaim is that he emailed Rebellion Pack, not realizing that it was you. He did not realize that Cenk Uygur was involved at the time. So he thought that your characterization that he was trying to get Cenk Uygur to fire you from Rebellion Pack was uncharitable, to say the least.
Sure. So I know this is going to sound Weasley, but it's the truth. I've gone back and forth a lot with Katie Herzog about this. There's a really strong appearance.
Really, Brad? It's going to sound Weasley. Sorry, I muted myself.
My health issues this summer. And something I agreed to do there was just to calm the temperature down. I was going to not make further comments on that. I'm going to say I think it was a genuine misunderstanding. And I think when you see my appearance on that show, I think you'll see how I was acting in good faith about the information I had, and because of some of the ways the database was set up.
Good faith is rapidly becoming like a red flag. Just when people use good faith, bad faith, it's certain people that do it. Like it's the kind of thing that I would rather talk around. If there's a better way of saying good faith or bad faith, then I'd much rather use that at this point.
Yeah, I realize now that Jesse was probably acting in good faith from the way he saw. The trick is I didn't understand that until I talked to Katie the other day via email. So
the other day, it's taking her this long. Like I'm a lot more amenable to Jesse Single than a lot of trans people, I would say. But I don't know. I look at things and I make my own conclusions. I feel like she's old enough. She's been old enough for a long time to where she should be trusted to be able to read something and not come to a ridiculous conclusion. But clearly that's not the case. And clearly that's not the case for a lot of people.
Just let us hash this out. It's going to be a future conversation.
Okay. Queen, you want to get any shots in before we go to the next one?
Was that you're talking to Jesse Single about this? Was that?
I think so. I expect to after the summer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, part of my point in that was that you hadn't confronted him on it. So if you're confronting him on it, it's great to hear. I'll be watching.
Gotta deal with my health stuff this summer. We'll get through it.
Then this is actually the one that I think I probably care.
Health stuff, that's another one. Like, I should be sympathetic, and I am, but so much of this information that she brings in that paints her as a victim is like, it's not necessary. She doesn't need to bring any of that up. Like, for me, I'd rather try not to use myself as an example as much as I can.
Care about the most. This is a strong quote, so I'll accept if it was from Queeman's side. However, saw everything Keffals was doing.
Oh, here we go. This is where it gets good. All right.
Approved of DIY HRT. And this is an implication. So
sorry,
if you don't
wait,
like
did
my
I
framing,
say
totally...
approved of DIY HRT? I don't think I made that specific claim. I don't think I've ever seen Brianna necessarily say outright, I approve of DIY HRT. I don't think I've ever seen Brianna say that. I don't think I would say that.
I don't. You can see a lot of media of me saying the opposite.
Then Queeman, just so I'm not framing you incorrectly, can you maybe articulate your position for Brianna's participation in support of Keffals?
Yeah, sure. So Brianna was repeatedly confronted with numerous discrepancies, contradictions in Keffals' story, way she was using the money, statements she had made about how she was using the money. Each time, Brianna had a deflecting response that either said something to the effect of, I don't care, I don't feel scammed, use the money on cocaine if you want, ha 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 ha, isn't that so funny? Or, yeah, it could be a joke, but generally, if I had an...
Is it an appropriate joke to make, bearing in mind the circumstances?
Addict friend who was an addict in the public spotlight. Me personally, I wouldn't say. Feel free to.
We have the darkest sense of humor.
Yeah, I don't. I've known addicts.
Yeah, there's dark humor. There are things you don't say in public. Like, there was that whole discourse about the N-word in private, and it's not something I'd ever want to get into, but there's things you say in public and things you say in private. And if you don't know the difference at whatever age you were at that point, then that's a bit concerning, no?
I don't generally joke about being like, oh, why don't you have a drink? Why don't you have a drink? That's not generally the sort of joke I make to addicts, no.
I can say...
That's a good point as well, actually.
Well, that's fine.
And it's certainly not the sort of joke I would make if someone was accused of scamming $100,000 for their addiction either.
So this is, did you see my tweet the other day of basically saying, yeah, I've had enough, fuck Keffals. Yes.
Yeah, finally, after how long you could have known this stuff for? It's well over a year.
So this is, again, you can view this charitably or you can view this non-charitably. I got into this when I did.
You know what she wants you to do. She wants you to view this charitably. She wants you to understand where she's coming from so that you can agree with her, even though that's not really how it works.
Beckett's podcast the other day. I see a lot
Mantis, we're not friends.
In the sense that, you know, you're a really young person. She's trying to make her way in the world, you know, dealing with addiction, you know, the whole Kiwi Farms thing. I really...
So she's bought in pretty heavily to Keffals' victim narrative. This is exactly what I mean when I say she does the same thing as a lot of these people.
Saw myself in her, and I tried to be the very best friend as I could to her through all of this. And I will fully admit,
like, you can't get blinded by the fact that you're friends with someone and your friend's like, I don't know, getting harassment. Like, doesn't it behoove you to, like, at least look into why that is, at least look into what's happening? Like, I don't know, scrutinize some of the public statements she's been making, which most of them didn't add up from the start.
I have probably looked the other way for too long on this. This is a friendship I should have let lapse.
The other way. This is beginning to irritate me now, because she knew. She could have known as well. I'm going to try and not say that over and over, because I'm pretty sure in my fucking Demon Mama video I did that. So
it's a long time ago. I'm a pretty loyal person, and I tend to stick by my friends. You know, but in this case, it was a mistaken judgment. I've never defended HRT, you know, for minors being given without a prescription. And I would just say, I don't know. I mean, is it hard for you to understand, like, sticking by someone you considered a friend?
Yeah, so she wants as much charitability as possible. That seems to be her angle with all of this. And that's why all the rambling before actually answering anything is necessary. Or rambling before making a point, because she's not really answering anything. She's trying to make a point about why she did it, as opposed to recognizing that this was a serious problem that she didn't pick up for like well over a year, and that she should have.
I think you should have a bit more due diligence in the stuff you're saying if you're making those claims in public when there's huge allegations flying around. Yeah, I do think that's a problem, actually. In fact, that's what Tipster has been screwed on for the last year, actually, is basically that, jumping in to defend friends that don't deserve it when they're doing horrible actions. Like, I mean, you were literally saying stuff like, if you're going after Keffals, you're a useful idiot. You need to stop talking about this. This is just furthering a...
Oof. Big if true. I mean, I'm going to assume. I'll have to... I think he had a lot of information in his video. I'd have to check that after, but...
harassment campaign of a trans woman. That's what you were telling people when they were bringing up concerns with the GoFundMe.
That's exactly another thing. That's exactly what the fucking TRAs are doing. And I find it hard to believe when she's only just disavowed keffals that for all the time she's been criticizing them, she hasn't also been doing that shit. The stick by trans people no matter what. It doesn't matter if they're doing the worst shit possible. Like, don't call them out. Don't criticize them. And then they end up, you know, this is what ended up happening. You know, a bunch of people's money went up Keffals' nose instead of on the shit that they paid for it to be used for. Because she was fucking around the whole time. And Brianna was running defense for it. That's all there is to it, really.
Which context was that in? Which drama scandal was going on at the moment?
I believe that was off the Destiny manifesto.
Was I trying to patch things up with Destiny?
I don't like this. I know I can't put a word on what she's doing, but like, was what was happening? I can't really remember.
By then...
I think that would be a huge indictment on your character if you said the reason why I was deflected from Keffals is because I was not trying to patch things up with Destiny yet.
No.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm trying to understand the time period of what was going on there. So if it was right,
it would have been within a year. Correct me. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like Destiny Manifesto on Keffals was probably like 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And then I feel like PB was last year.
That's even worse than what I'm saying. Jesus.
So that would have been. I feel like that would have been probably 6 months before attempting to get that bridge rebuilt.
So this is my understanding, or at least my recollection, that when the Destiny Manifesto came out, I was quoted, I think 3 times in it, and it was all sourcing a bunch of Kiwi Farm stuff. I don't think I've ever talked about this, but like the story of Chloe Segal, this really tragic story of a trans woman that set herself on fire, like y'all don't even know the truth of that. It'd
be interesting to hear the truth, because publicly, there was really very little to determine that Kiwi Farms had much to do with it. And she clearly had a lot of like circumstantial and mental health issues. So I'd be interesting to see, because I remember this case. I was looking into it a ton when it happened. I never was thinking, oh, look what Kiwi Farms did to someone. I remember some tweets, fucking articles, because the news is fucking dog shit, like highlighting the harassment campaign or whatever Kiwi Farms was supposedly running against her. But I mean, it depends what she says. Maybe she knew better. I think they had like interactions and stuff.
Is so much darker than what people even know there. Like, it was a slow motion breakdown for years with her burning every single friendship and bridge that she had.
But what's that got to do with Kiwi Farms?
So I don't know. I think in the moment immediately after watching that, I did feel like Keffals was getting unfairly piled on. And I think...
Well, she hasn't said shit. Like, Keffals was saying that Kiwi Farms caused this person to commit suicide. Like, if you've got evidence to the contrary, it'd be great to see, but like, she hasn't said shit.
As I'm telling you right now, I think that was an error in judgment. I should not have run cover for Keffals as long as I did with my reputation.
Okay, yeah, I'm just...
That's fair. She needs to go further, though. Let's see if she does before I kind of explain that.
Acknowledging the fact that your reasoning here isn't about the evidence or an honest engagement with what was going on. It's all to do with your associations and who you're friends with.
No, that's not it at all. I've seen the way that I've seen the way that people can create a narrative about you that just takes these facts and it arrives at a conclusion and it just like puts all of it point by point by point by point and it distorts your reputation. I know about this firsthand through Gamergate. Was Keffel still trying to keep Kiwi Farms offline at that point? Because that's probably what I was thinking at the time. That was an effort to undermine that work that at the moment I thought was good.
Sure, but it doesn't seem like you had a very informed opinion on Kiwi Farms either, because you only found out that they disallowed death threats and coordinated harassment the other day when you were speaking to Mutahar.
I mean, I'm sure they have a pretext for that. I'm not sure how effective that is.
Well, I mean, what do you mean how effective it is? It's about what's allowed on the site. I mean, users on a site can do anything. Users on Twitter do crazy stuff every day, but it's about what the
What was that noise you just made?
rules of the site are.
I think this really comes down to pretext and subtext. So Destiny is a really good example. The way that he runs DGG, I've always felt that DGG gets an unfair reputation for being harassment central because so much of the culture there is built around really trying to tamp that stuff down. Like the subreddit has that rule, the drama is done in 3 days. They do downvote transphobia.
Does she need to explain this much? Like you've made the point, just carry on. Why do we need to give examples of how DGG is moderated? It's not something that Queeman is querying, is it?
If something's really sexist or over the line, even stuff I personally would allow, like there was that picture of Lav without makeup. They took that down just because they thought it was the best thing to do. I think Destiny is really proactive in trying to set a culture for DGG that lowers this level of harassment for people. In my estimation, I don't think Kiwi Farms really does stuff of that level, as this was probably my same assessment of Total Biscuit at the time. So I think if you're going to grow
if you're wrong about this many times, what's it telling you?
Community, to a certain extent, you have a responsibility about how they behave. And I agree with Destiny's assessment that it's not true that you can't control things that they do. I think you actually can to some degree.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's saying that, but the point is that you've signed on to an attack that was the point of the attack was to remove Cloudflare
I'm sorry,
protection.
which attack? Just so
drop Kiwi Farms. Drop Kiwi Farms.
Yeah.
The point of that attack is to remove Cloudflare protection so that people can commit crimes against them. And your reason for agreeing with that is site culture, not because of any specific action or rule, but just
it's a bit fucked. The reasons she's giving for the shit that she's been doing are not great, in my opinion.
Site culture.
I think that this is the part of the story that you're missing. There have been so many efforts behind the scenes to take down Kiwi Farms for years, and not just
That's
by
bad.
me.
That's a bad thing. I disagree with that.
Can I finish my point, please? You can disagree, but I'm explaining to you what my thought process was.
Yeah, it's important that she seems to have this need to be understood, and she gets frustrated when he cuts through that, even though there really isn't much point. I mean, yeah, to an extent, I guess, but do we need her thought process to be laid out in this much detail to where it takes fucking ages?
There were efforts for years. Hold on one second. To take down Kiwi Farms. There was one extremely famous celebrity at one point that actually tried to get me to join onto a mega lawsuit that he was going to file. I said no and opted out of that. I don't know where that went, just because I didn't want more heat from it. But, my thinking there is that Kiwi Farms, I think it is a hardcore doxing site. And I think that, you should meet the same level of defamation and libel laws that, a journalist site should have to do. So I did support that at the time.
Well, you can sue someone for posting something that's a defamatory.
It's really, really hard to get their IP address and hunt them down.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that you can then just start taking sites down because of the actions of a user. It's that's against free speech.
I think if you look, you can look this up. I've given 100 interviews saying this about a way that my opinion has changed, and I'll repeat it here for you. So one of the things that really, I'm sorry, changed my opinion on if this, for lack of a word, illiberalism is working was Elon Musk buying Twitter. If you made a list of the people that helped Twitter set their dead naming is bannable policy, I would be on that list. I championed this for years. I helped them get the research together. I worked with the trust and safety team to basically set that policy. We worked on a lot of international angles for it to make it fair. And at the time, I was really proud of doing that. What I can see in hindsight today is there's something about not being able to dead name people that drives conservatives and transphobes really crazy in a way that literally led Elon Musk to buy
Guys, that
Twitter
is not permission to
and
you.
to
That is
turn
not
it
permission.
into a site that
Guys,
by
that is not
every
permission.
measure is way worse for trans people. So I'm looking at the totality of where the progressive left has gone as far as on free speech. I think you can look at my public comments recently. I think it's gone too far. I think it's illiberal. The entire reason I started this show with Connor is I think we need to return to being able to talk about ideas with each other. So I'm not sure today, if you asked me, if I would support Drop Kiwi Farms.
After your response, can I interject, Clayman?
Please.
I don't know if I have another response. Go for it.
Okay,
I've got
so,
other stuff
yeah,
to bring
so
up, but yeah, go for it.
I have a question right there because I have an internal narrative and I have a perception of Brianna. I would say this really kicked into high gear since October 7th, but it seems like Brianna has experienced some things over the past couple of years that made her frustrated is the muted word of it, frustrated with the far left. So when she says, hey, I was proud to work with the progressives in order to shut down.
By the way, my point about Brianna overarchingly really is that she still acts like these far lefters that she has so many problems with in many ways.
This form of what I viewed as hate speech at the time. However, what ended up happening was it put so much pressure on conservatives and basically people who don't like trans people. It ended up backfiring. As a result, the internet has become a worse place, almost indirectly or consequentially as a result of the work that I used to do in the past. I think that I am better served.
Has it made it a worse place? Was it really that great when trans people were ruling Twitter and shit? To me, that doesn't sound like a good place at all. I don't know that they've made it worse. Worse for trans people on average, maybe. I think I'd find the old version of Twitter way less preferable to now.
Served by having conversations with other people about trans issues that kind of puts my community in a better light. I kind of see someone shifting from the far left to the center. So do you see that, or do you think that's not genuine?
No, I don't think it's genuine at all. Again, Brianna.
I think he probably feels similar to me. Maybe. Who knows? Let's see. I don't know how genuine it is. I think she probably is at least somewhat genuine with her frustrations with the far left, but it's still very political. A lot of the stuff she does on Twitter is Israel-Palestine kind of stuff. It's very partisan.
Even here is completely dodged at every opportunity, trying to backtracking some of these claims. The Total Biscuit stuff is just crazy. The amount of the amount of waffling on that was nuts. We still haven't gotten to Deagle Nation, which I would love to, because I like that you pretended that you didn't know what that was, but you absolutely do. That it's delusional to pretend otherwise.
Is this the person that got into a car accident? You guys just want to knock that out real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so this has been your flagship example for years.
Flagship?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This was a weekend story, dude.
No, this was on your sci-fi episode, The Internet Ruined My Life. This was used in your Congress ad.
Do you think come on, man.
You described it.
She's very willing to argue directly when it comes to this, but not the actual points he's making. What is going on, man? In that episode, you described that car crash video as the scariest moment of your life.
It was terrifying when it happened. I was really terrified by that.
That seems quite unlikely, but regardless,
I 100% thought it was 100% real at the time. It really scared me. And something you may not know is he had been sending me explicit death threat after explicit death threat and after explicit death threat. Evidence that this person is mentally unstable is that they are a ward of the state, as I understand it, in, isn't it New Hampshire? Which is why prosecutors couldn't prosecute him for any of this, because he's not legally responsible for any of his actions.
I
That
don't.
is my recollection.
That's not. I don't believe that to be true at all. Actually,
well, that's what they told me.
I believe that the 176-page Gamergate Files FBI report that was released actually said that they didn't prosecute because they immediately realized it was a joke upon speaking to him.
Well, hold on. You're assuming the FBI was the people that were prosecuting that, because
no, they said they took it. They said
hold on. No, you're mistaken here. I'm talking about the Boston. There are multiple levels of law enforcement that I worked with during.
He's also not a ward of the state. He's in World Peace 2 with Sam Hyde. That's coming out soon.
Can I finish what I'm saying? There are multiple levels of law enforcement that I worked with. It was Arlington PD. Then from there, that got bumped up to the prosecutors here in Massachusetts, local prosecutors, and then there was the FBI. Just because the FBI was saying one thing does not mean that's what another law.
I think something else I'm picking up the pattern of is like she'll more or less technically agree when Queeman brings something up, but then she'll bring something up that contradicts it. But it's from like another police department, but it's from someone else, but it's like, so it doesn't actually directly contradict what he's saying at all. I don't know. I need to work out exactly what that is, like put a name on it or something.
Enforcement agency was thinking.
Okay, they didn't prosecute because they realized it was a joke. This is all in the 176-page report that came out.
I may have come to that conclusion, but I'm telling you,
I believe it was discussed with the prosecutor. I'm pretty sure that's in
accurately what local Massachusetts prosecutors told me that don't work for the FBI.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm pretty sure they discussed it with prosecutors. That's in the FBI report.
Why would you assume that?
Because I read the article like yesterday. I'm pretty sure it's in the report that they discussed it with the prosecutors and they didn't prosecute because it was a joke. It's nothing to do with them being a ward of the state or being an actual risk.
Are we potentially talking about two different people?
I don't know. There's no chance talking to two different people. It's the car crash video, and he also did the one where he said he was going to exact elite justice on your soul. It's the same guy. You spoke about him many times.
Legitimately scared me.
So Queeman, just out of curiosity here, like if you're having schizospergs enter into your DMs and saying wild shit, like, are we supposed to presume that all of that is a joke?
No, what I would say is that everyone gets death threats online once they're above a certain thing, a certain level. It's about whether death threats
That is true.
are credible. Now, if you looked at those death threats, they absolutely were not credible at any point because it was a very obvious skit. Most people knew it was a skit. There were BuzzFeed articles very shortly after it came out saying it was a skit. Brianna continued to use it as an example of harassment.
There were articles
saying it was a skit.
There were articles taking it seriously. So she's like, it's not, no, actually, I'm right. It's like, well, other people were wrong too. Really.
Yeah, there was also a sci-fi episode taking it very seriously. I'm aware there were some places taking it seriously, Brianna. I don't think anyone engaging seriously actually thought it was a real threat. It's on the level. It's on the level of sort of like when Sam, because
Can you not understand? It's every time she really has to be understood. She doesn't want to have to admit guilt, maybe. I don't know. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze her, but she really seems to want to be understood. And that's something that I have definitely learned. That's just not going to happen most of the time. And no one really owes it to you to understand you. And Queeman is trying a lot harder than most just by talking to her. Because most people won't talk to you. They'll just take an action or something and not even remotely try and understand what the thought process was behind it. But take their own action or make their own judgment anyway.
I mean, this guy's $1 Million Extreme. He is associated with Sam Hyde. It's sort of like when Sam Hyde got up and said, I'm going to kill Hassan Piker in his home.
Oh, content warning, Sam Hyde.
Like no one saw it as a credible threat.
Hold on.
Can I just say something here, Connor?
Yeah, and I want to push back on that real quick, but yeah, go
You're
ahead.
assuming at the time I knew he was associated with Sam Hyde.
I'm not assuming that at all. I'm saying that the comedy style is similar.
Dude, I don't want to mute you. Can I just finish?
I'm just correcting your.
I don't want to mute you. I'm in two minds, because obviously Queenman's like pissing her off a lot, and that's contributing to him getting muted. She's been a lot better the last half an hour or so. But I think I get where he's coming from, in that you probably do have to be quite aggressive and like really, you know, focus her, because she's going to do everything she can to talk around it and make every excuse, you know, because it's more important to her that you understand where she's coming from than the fact that she's done wrong, I guess.
Interpretation, that's fine.
You are assuming that I understood that at the time.
No,
this is what happened according to what I remember about what happened. There was a crazy person that sent me so much stuff, death threats constantly via DM. There's a person here in Massachusetts. I don't want to dead name them because they've transitioned, but he actually worked through.
It's very virtuous of you, Brianna.
This person to get messages to me and hype them up. So I was getting death threat. I've got guns. And then that video came to me. It did legitimately scare me at the time. I think today I would probably see that a little bit more clearly, but legitimately at the time, I was getting so many death threats constantly. Rape threats. I don't know if you've read the story about what happened when my dog died and how Gamergate reacted.
God, it's more victim stuff.
I had nut jobs talk about how they were going to go through every room in my house, diagramming the shootings that they were going to plan. So, like, I would just ask for a little bit of charity that my, like...
Yeah, that's what she cares about, is, like, charitability. Well, he doesn't owe you charitability, ultimately.
Like, defenses were set to so high, I could not make the same analysis someone on the outside could make.
Yeah, I could even maybe grant you it in the moment. However, the thing is that very shortly after the threats, it was revealed in the public very broadly by both the FBI report and BuzzFeed News reporting. Lots of places were saying it was a joke.
FBI happened years after that.
Yeah, FBI report was in 2017, yeah, but BuzzFeed articles date back to 2015, if I could just finish, Connor. And you continued with this story. This has been your flagship example at every turn, even in your Congress ad, which is long past when all of this has happened, yet you never mention that it's a joke. You never clarify that part.
What's interesting is, you kind of said the same thing earlier, and she immediately jumped on it, being like, flagship example? She can't do that anymore. So now it feels like she's listening for the next thing she can pick on to excuse herself or whatever. That's how it comes across anyway.
It's always just, there was this terrifying video of these people in skull masks in a crashed car.
It was. There was also another.
Yeah, but you neglect to mention the fact that wasn't.
Yeah, shut up, Connor.
A credible threat in any way.
You're missing a key point. The person with the skull mask was a completely different.
That was Tice. They were part of the same group. It was Tice, Eli, and Jace. Yeah.
Well, hold on. So are we expecting? So sorry.
Yeah, she doesn't engage with so many of the things he says, because then he says something that she can twist or like use in some way, and that's how it, like, this is what I mean. She does the same shit. So many of these like trans activists, they don't really have any solid basis for anything they think, so they can't actually argue honestly, so they just find whatever they can in what you're saying to twist around, or just not even bother and just nakedly just bullshit you.
Sweep time. So we're expecting Brianna.
Sweep time, great, can't wait.
To like specifically research each individual schizo who's going after her.
No,
and try to,
not
like,
at all.
them out.
Not at all. I'm making it clear that this was all associated. They did make it clear they were associated in their videos. They called themselves Deagle Nation and were doing Operation Woopocalypse. So they did associate themselves in their videos. It's not. Okay,
I would like to interject at least part of my perspective, because I actually consider myself a fan of Sam Hyde, at least in reference to some of his work, and yet.
It did look like she kind of did a look. Just as he said, I'm actually a fan of Sam Hyde.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Didn't Sam Hyde do PEDs in order to get in shape enough in order to go box? Didn't he absolutely fuck up his opponent in that boxing ring? Wouldn't it probably be something that Sam Hyde would likely do, is show up in Los Angeles in order to hang out at places that Hassan Piker hangs out at? Wouldn't it absolutely be the kind of shit that he would do, where he would pretend to be schizo and like?
Wait,
honestly,
so are you arguing
it's
What? So Sam Hyde might actually kill Hassan? Really?
credible death threat? Are you saying it's a credible?
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like, I thought I was not understanding something, but he's actually saying that. Jesus fuck.
Death threat? You think that was a credible?
This isn't worth it, man. This isn't worth that tiny shred left of your dignity to be sweeping for someone this hard, that you're also now pushing irrelevant side tangents in an effort to derail this conversation.
Death threat that Sam Hyde made. Is that your argument right now?
I feel like we're at post irony.
Okay,
here.
right.
Like,
okay,
like
this
we
is just. Sorry, clearly.
Post irony. Yeah, anything to not answer the question right. Anything to find a way of moving off the clearly defined question that was just asked to you. It doesn't seem slimy at all. You keep going, man.
I came in being accused of being autistic, but I'm not so sure that I'm the autistic one.
No, hold on. Tell me that it wouldn't be the ultimate post-ironic joke for him to actually do it.
I mean, would I laugh if Sam Hyde killed Hassan Piker? Yeah.
I mean, I would, but well, okay. So that
Jesus Christ, like what are we talking about here?
So here we go. So that's kind of the point, is that like you hit levels of like meta irony or post irony that nobody knows what the fuck is going on anymore. It's like Shrek or Sam Hyde or any of that shit.
Okay, it's not he's not actually going to kill Hassan Piker. Nobody actually thought he was going to kill Hassan Piker. Nobody actually think that's going to happen. Hassan doesn't think that's going to happen.
Maybe I just dreamed about it. But anyways, the point being that like expecting somebody who's under that pressure to be able to differentiate between threats and humor, I think is an unrealistic expectation. You can say that after the fact, on a prolonged timeline.
Yes. Okay, I was about to say that. Go for it.
Oh no! I mean, if you're saying after the fact on a prolonged timeline,
I'm saying
there should be enough time to settle.
I don't believe that Brianna genuinely thought it was threats. Personally, me personally. However, I can even concede that and then say, okay, but still, you presented the situation after the fact when this was broadly known and never mentioned the fact it was a joke. I don't think I've ever heard Brianna reference that.
And you can see that there are enough like creepy pieces of shit that it might all become an amalgamation of like one general trend of people.
Because Brianna specifically cites Brianna specifically cites that incident a lot and has done a lot.
Isn't it the most? And isn't it also the most like visceral? Skull masks, knives, personal threats.
It's
claiming
the funniest.
To have driven to the location,
yeah,
et cetera,
but you don't get to, in Brianna's Congress Act, she says that this was behavior so criminal that the FBI got involved and then flashed up images of that situation. Yes.
Yeah, that's like a huge bending of the truth there. But she'll be like, yeah, no, that is what happened. Oh my god. Oh my god, there's fucking rubbish going on again. How are we doing? Nope, still going. Yeah, I don't know. She comes off manipulative. I can't remember what I was saying. Let's just keep going.
If you allow me to finish.
Sure.
You flashed up images of that situation. So if you're saying, okay, the FBI realized it was a joke and chose not to prosecute. Sorry, the FBI did choose not to prosecute because they knew it was a joke. The FBI and the prosecutors chose not to.
Yeah, but did I know that at the time? Oh, come on, man. Just Jesus Christ.
Go through that did happen. If you don't bring that up when you're accusing
someone of handy, by the way,
I can send you the articles on the FBI report. Yeah, sure.
Can you just send me, because I would just be curious about the verbiage.
Yeah. So, what was I?
He's ex-police or something, isn't he?
Saying just now. If you accuse someone of criminal behavior and neglect to mention the fact that when it was investigated, they immediately realized it was a joke, yeah, I would say that's tantamount to a lie.
I don't think it was not funny.
That's part of the reason
they were hilarious videos, but that's okay.
Okay. So I think you already mentioned this, but it's my next point, so I just want to make sure that we say it out loud. So I give you permission to do cocaine. That tweet. We're all acknowledging that that's a joke, right?
It's obviously a joke, but it's not an appropriate joke to make, given the circumstances and given the amount of information that was completely available to her. she didn't acknowledge any of this keffals shit until after the Mutahar video, and after her feet were held so fucking close to the fire that the two are indistinguishable.
It's in humor, but the point of it is to deflect from scam allegations.
It can be in poor taste. It can be
no.
Yes, it is in poor taste, but it's kind of worse because it's kind of an endorsement of some really bad shit that someone did that she was friends with, and until very recently was still friends with.
No. You're missing. Sure. The employment of that joke is to deflect from allegations of her misusing the money.
See, this is the bad faith.
And she laughs. Bad faith. Why is that bad faith?
I'm talking about.
That's not bad faith.
This
remotely.
is whole.
How convenient that whenever your feet are getting held to the fire, you can just say, "Oh, well, that's bad faith."
Hold on, can I finish?
And like, she'll get to a point and he'll bring up more stuff, and then her point will start moderating, and then she'll just look for the next thing she can jump on. She's the same as these people. She's the same as these fucking TRAs that she goes on about, that she has so many disagreements with, supposedly.
Like, a hand to God, this is dark addict from, like, humor from one addict to another. That's
Well, maybe DM her that shit then. Why say it in public?
all it is. That's all it is.
That changes when there's
this is the mistake
scam.
that you people make. You come to a conclusion and you look for evidence that supports that conclusion constantly. It's like everything I do as a public figure is viewed through this lens, like Brianna Wu is a terrible person or a liar. I think there's actually a lot of evidence of people that know me and work with me that would tell you I'm somebody that has integrity. That,
like, what are we talking about? What's this got to do with a fucking joke? You have integrity? You said something off color? You kind of provided cover for someone who was actually doing some really bad shit, stealing money, you know, fraud or whatever the fuck it was, all the bathtub HRT shit. I don't know.
I like tell the truth, that I'm a thoughtful person, I'm a kind person.
Like, who cares about any of this? Oh, my friend said that I'm a kind person. Oh, my mom says I tell the truth all the time.
Like, there are a lot of people that would have my back on that, but y'all take everything and run it through this filter. So a joke tweet to a fellow addict becomes magnified to me.
Excusing misuse of funds, where this GoFundMe said specifically what it was being used for like the fight against kiwi farms, for like suing the police and shit. She's not getting it because she has to. Everything she does has to have this like post hoc rationalization behind it, where she can be like, well, can't you understand that this was going on and that was going on? Like, no.
Like, running cover for a campaign is just crazy.
But isn't that the effect that you did divert from that, kind of giving her the okay almost, even in joke form? I can't, Jesus Christ.
Man,
you were running cover because there was scam allegations going on, and your response to those allegations was to say, I give you permission to spend all the money on cocaine.
I'm telling you, it was a joke.
You're telling me, I'm telling you. Why does she say I'm telling you every time?
Joke.
I don't care if it's a joke, it's your response to people accusing.
If you care.
Okay, I'm making my point. People, okay, you're making it in public, first of all, it's a public statement. And if you're going to make a public statement, I'm allowed to criticize it. And if people agree...
This is like bad faith, but she like laughs at shit that he says. Like, I don't know.
With me, then that's the way it goes.
Sure. But
I'm raising my point to you.
It's a game of seesaw where you don't show your face, you just attack people. It's
my face is...
Don't show your face. What's this got to do with what he just said? What's this got to do with anything?
Out there on the internet, I'm just not on camera right now.
It's a really lazy game to play.
Can I actually read this?
Oh, why does Connor have to get in again?
Because this is where I feel like we're looking at the same problem and we're coming to different conclusions, but
well, no, we're looking at a problem and she's running around the houses.
I actually feel like it reinforces borderline both of your perspectives. So can I just read this out loud on stream?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm actually going to read this. Some of it I think is okay, but all right. Anyways, the day before Halloween, FBI agents showed up to a home of a Massachusetts man linked to to dozens of rape, bomb, and death threats targeting women involved in the video game scene. They believed he was a supporter of Gamergate.
Oh, good. We've changed topic again. That hasn't happened enough times yet.
the militant online movement that wants to end feminist criticism of video games. The man whose name was kept confidential by the FBI confessed. He told the agents that he was a tech guy, a qualified A++
I don't know if that's
coder.
I don't know if that's the right story. There's a couple of different stories in the article, I think.
Well,
because this is about the
if
FBI.
you don't mind,
sorry,
if you say that this is colored, but sorry,
I think there are different incidents. There are different incidents that are in
this one has the document talking about why the FBI let them go. So
we're arguing about the thing he's reading now, which I still don't know what it's in relation to. It's to do with the video she got where people were investigated by the FBI. I thought we were talking about the joke tweet that she's so defensive over.
So so your information is reinforced in another paragraph. So if you don't mind humoring me.
Yeah, go for it. I'm not sure that's the right thing. Go for it. Yeah, speak your thing.
Okay. Who played video games a lot and lived with his parents, according to a set of documents for the FBI released on its investigation into Gamergate. He told the agents that he hung out on 4chan, the notorious online image posting board that, according to the FBI documents, has a history of hostile... we can skip that. He admitted that he had mocked the women who were targets of Gamergate's threats on 4chan, calling one of them a professional victim who exaggerated the threats. Then the agents showed...
That sounds familiar.
him one of the threatening emails. The man said he had created a new email account specifically for the purpose of sending threats to Gamergate's targets. He admitted to sending the threatening email, understood that the email looked really bad. Crucially, he also confessed that he knew it was a crime. The man understood that it was a federal crime to send a threatening communication to anyone and will never do it again, the FBI wrote. So, despite this is where we get into your point.
I think that was the right.
This is where we get to your point. Yet, despite all that, an email trail, a confession, and an admission from the suspect, he knew he was breaking the law. The FBI let him go after the suspect said it was a joke. So basically, then it's that summary, which I can read if you want. But basically what happened was the FBI, they didn't say that the guy didn't commit a crime. They referred it to the Boston State's Attorney's Office, and the Boston State's Attorney's Office declined to prosecute.
Wow, aren't we so glad that's been cleared up? Like, Jesus Christ.
But I'll tell you, this is one of the problems with cyber stalking and cyber harassment is because it's a pain in the ass, and because they're dealing with like murders and all that kind of shit and drug dealing. State police oftentimes are not going to enforce a cyber stalking statute. So for me, if the FBI is saying like we have a half dozen, or we have 4 people at least that we interviewed who send death and rape threats, but then they said, lol, it was a joke. And then they didn't want to waste their time on it, so they sent it to the state's attorney's office, and the state's attorney's office said they didn't want to waste their time on it. That doesn't really do anything to diminish Brianna's perception of the event.
Okay, I don't think anyone was I don't think I was saying that Brianna's perception of the event is determined by the FBI's. What I'm saying is that I think that there's no way a reasonable person would come to the conclusion that those threats are credible. And that the FBI also came to that conclusion because
I mean, I want to joke right now, and I want to create like half a dozen accounts and just start sending you fucking death threats and rape threats, and maybe I'll visit the UK sometime. But like that's like, but obviously the whole thing is like we know each other, we're fucking around, we're bantering, et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't have that context and it's randos on the fucking internet.
Okay, Connor, I would advise you at least watch the videos and then maybe make the statement, but sure.
I mean, I watched your video.
There's also the additional context of all the stuff that happened that you don't have access to. The stuff that happened behind the scenes, the videos.
Such as.
They were sending me, the death threats. I can see clearly now that they were trying to amp me up and make me very reactive so they could get this kind of reaction, but it doesn't erase all the events before it. I'm telling you the truth when I said this scared me. There was my gym, like what was it? It was Planet Fit, it was Gold's gym. This was in Arlington, and the first person.
Sorry, I have to interrupt because we're circling on this.
God, this would have aggravated me a long time ago. He's actually been very, very patient with Brianna. And they have, to be fair, they've stopped muting him. That's at least something. Like, to begin with, it was ridiculous.
This one point. We've been circling for like 10 minutes on this one point, which is just...
I'm going to finish my point.
Oh, no, there it is again. I spoke too soon. There we go. As soon as I give him fucking credit. Now we have to hear about Brianna's gym and wherever this story is going that perhaps brings a tiny amount of context to her seemingly fucking up over and over again.
Because this is really clear.
Holy fuck.
Write it down, Cleveland.
Yeah, write it down, buddy. So when I got sent this video, my first reaction was actually to call the Arlington PD Was it the Arlington PD? No, it was someone in the state prosecutor.
So then I did this. Was it this? No, it might have been that. And it was to do with this gym. What gym was I at? Was it this gym? No, it might have been that gym. Oh, come on, just get to the point, man. Come on, please. I beg you. Sorry, I wasn't calling you man. I say that sometimes.
Office. That was my literal first reaction to send it to them because I was so fucking scared about that. So
this is completely anecdotal. Does it matter that much whether she was scared? It's like, fuck, I don't know. I've never had like death threats and shit. You know, what happened. And there's only so much context and only so much, well, this was going on before you have to like address the actual thing that he's saying. And she's not doing that. Like, what has she really shown any kind of acknowledgement and accountability for, you know?
I feel like there's this interpretation here, like I couldn't possibly have trauma from all this.
I bet she spent half his time muted.
Trauma. Why is it trauma now? I mean, he was talking about one video, and now we're talking about you couldn't possibly have had trauma. Like, that's not the same conversation. Why does she move the goalposts every single time? And then calls him like bad faith at one point. Like, how can you do that? How can you hear the words coming out of your mouth and not feel like the biggest fucking idiot in the world? Because I would, quite frankly.
My perception of stuff.
Okay. Did you?
Is there any thought that maybe the way she's perceiving stuff is a bit faulty? Because I'm going to get to this. Like, I'm sure they come back to keffals at some point. I fucking hope they do. Because where is anyone saying, we got fucked over by this person, by keffals? We need to be a lot more careful about who we trust and who we decide is worth going all in on the back of. And we need to do the due diligence. Where's the conversation about that? It's no, well, I'm a very loyal person and, you know, I saw myself in her. It's like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough at all. But where are people saying any of this? It's a bit crazy. And I said the same thing about Demon Mama, who obviously was just trying to put the boot in on the drama community because there was another source that now she could use. That seems to be what she was waiting for. Because she probably agreed with at least some of the Mutahar video. But she's not going to give someone like him any credit, especially because that would by extension be giving Destiny credit. So,
you write it down, go.
Well, I don't have anything to say. I was just going to say, let's move on past this, because if you just keep saying, no, okay, I really was scared. I really was scared. It's like you're not convincing me.
There's a point.
Yeah.
I want to come to, because this really reinforces.
Oh my God, then come to it. This is taking forever.
What I'm talking about here, where there's a bad faith lens.
There's no bad
assumption.
faith. That's fine.
There is bad faith.
I think lying is the ultimate bad faith move.
Just stop saying bad faith. Just everyone, not just Brianna, everyone, just stop saying bad faith. It's a cop-out. It's a way of hand-waving anything someone says to you. Someone makes an accusation, oh, that's bad faith. Oh, okay, great. I guess they're wrong then. Sure.
That's happened a few times in this conversation.
I would really prefer to act like adults. I would really prefer to act like adults.
I would really prefer us to act like adults. I don't think she's acting like an adult at all, but okay, she's muted his mic again. Great. How many times is that? Like 9 or 10?
Assumption here that there is like hiding facts or being dishonest. So, Connor, one of the things you said was,
why does it have to be that? I don't think it has to be hiding facts, being deliberately dishonest. I don't think it has to be that at all. I think it could just be a way that you react to this stuff, maybe.
In the video, this is from your list of stuff. Jesse Gender,
or like in the way you frame things, I guess. Because, yeah, I know, I need to think about that more.
I agree with your goal, all of it. What I don't do is sell the radical part, right? That is in this video. So basically what Queeman is alleging here, I would assume, is that basically...
This will be interesting because I agree with Brianna Wu on this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know what Jessie Gender does to further the cause. I'm not really very familiar with her. I might end up watching her at some point. I haven't seen anything that has impressed me that I really agree with that much, but hey. We'll see how this goes.
I am for minors getting HRT without permission. Queeman, is that what you basically meant in that part?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant that
Okay, what did you mean?
I'm not.
What these people need to do is stop trying to summarize people's points, because people do it to me constantly and they always just get it wrong. Like, if you're that unable to understand someone's point, then ask them to like clarify or something. Why does it have to be, oh, is what you're saying complete ridiculous shit that you weren't saying? Well, it kind of comes across that you're not actually interested in having this conversation and want to shut it down by any means necessary.
Not sure. Your wording is vague there. I don't know what your specific
I'm just asking what you meant.
Yeah, sure. I'm saying, I'm explaining. Your wording is vague, so I can't
show you what was
sorry.
there right before it.
Let him speak, maybe?
Are you okay for me?
I would really prefer if we'd act like adults. Okay.
Just finish what I'm saying. Your wording is vague there, so I'm not entirely sure to what level you're radical in private versus public. My point was showing that you're willing to say you're willing to make arguments that you don't necessarily believe, but you think they will achieve an end. That's the point that I'm.
Connor, is that the context of it there? Is that how he was presenting it?
Asking Connor to confirm. Oh my god. Okay.
In my section about trans
basically, the way that I would phrase it is "quote unquote" hiding your power level. That's the way that I would. That's the way I would phrase it.
So let's Connor, I DM this to you. Can you put this up on screen? This is what I was actually talking to Jesse about. It's a lot.
For the sake of not interrupting the screen.
Oh my god, he's actually going against her.
I don't want to screw up the Streamlabs, but basically I see the Jesse Gender DMs. I see both of you interacting. I can verify that it's true. And
so
I can.
What I'm saying here, look at what I'm talking about. Jesse is making an allegation here. And she's saying your views lead to harm for non-binary and non-medicating trans folks, not to mention stuff from Israel.
I don't know the actual conversation. I'd be willing to bet that I wouldn't really agree with that too much, especially when harm is used in the way that people are always using it. Oh, this thing could cause harm to, like, I find it very hard to take those arguments seriously, I guess. Because it's like you can say something, oh, you shouldn't say that, that's harmful to non-binary people. Well, like who? Like, in what way? Like, you have to like explain that. And it's really irritating how so many like trans rights activists talk where they don't explain any of it. It's just, no, the harm.
Trail. And then what I'm replying to in Jesse Gender's DM is, look, this is what you don't get. I agree with your goal, all of it, meaning dignity for non-binary people and people that don't want to medically transition. I don't think they should be dehumanized. This is actually a very common accusation that's made against me, that I don't care about non-binary people. So, this is what we're talking about there. Y'all took this in bad faith or making it sound...
took it in bad faith. Again.
Like I've got radical politics behind the scenes.
You do.
No, I'm responding to some.
I mean, the problem here is she still acts exactly like those radicals that she's been criticizing. Like, these are the same tactics. I see it all the time. I've been seeing it for years. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Something completely different.
That doesn't make a lot. But you engage in that same dehumanization of non-binary people, don't you?
Okay, now we're moving the flag, the goalpost.
No.
She's very quick to point out when he does anything like that, but she does it constantly.
I'm okay with this because this is a bullet point. So, okay, so I'll say that looking at the DM, the prior DM or whatever, the term is trans liberation. That's what they're talking about. So basically they're saying they share the goal of trans liberation.
I don't know what that means, by the way. It probably means a different thing depending on who you ask.
And then this was another bullet point from the video, was that Brianna is a hypocrite for sweeping for trans people, but criticizes non-binary people in DMs and shit talks them in DMs. So, Queeman, you seem eager to talk about that.
Well, yeah, I just think that would be a strange thing for you to be saying, given that even in private, you're not. It's not just that you're in public. You're saying, oh, we don't need to crusade for non-binary people and other kin and whatever else. You're saying in private.
Is it weird that I find that slightly based? I don't really agree exactly, but I don't know.
Private, you're saying if you want to be treated like a woman, maybe don't look like a transvestite. That's what you're saying to people.
That is kind of based. What are we supposed to think? Maybe you shouldn't look like a man if you want people to call you a woman. Like, fuck me.
in private. So that
Yeah, I
seems
made
odd to
some
me.
really mean comments about someone with some friends, and I've apologized for that. I imagine if I looked at your DM, I'd probably find some mean comments.
Oh
or
yeah,
two
I say
about-
some heinous stuff, but I would never claim otherwise, and I would certainly never apologize for it and then get caught doing it again a month later. That's a key part as well, isn't it? And then you started threatening Ollie, the Omnipooner, as well in DMs.
Oh God. Okay. This is another example of the bad faith.
How are we supposed to know what she even means by that? It's another example of the bad faith.
Is a perfect example. So with this nut job who has done nothing but stalk me for months now and obsess about this, what do I say to him?
What does stalking mean? Can I just ask?
Hold on. No,
I would like you to
we're
be
gonna
specific
stay
about
on
that.
Oh no, don't let her get away with this. What does she mean by stalk? You have to ask these people these things. You have to get them to explain everything. She might as well just be another TRA at this point. Like, it's the same shit. You have to really force them to explain what they mean by something. You can't trust anything that they say anymore.
I would like you to be very specific with that accusation, please. What does
We
stalking
are going to
mean?
go, and I'm going to make my point.
Oh, and she muted his mic again. That is disgusting. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And you can listen to it.
Anytime it's an inconvenient question, she mutes his mic again. It's like, does she think people are not going to see this for what it is? And she goes on about, let's act like adults. Most adults, I don't think, mute each other whenever they ask a specifying, clarifying question. Because you've just said someone stalked you. You should be able to explain what they were doing. But instead you mute his mic and like, no, I want to continue with what I was saying. Great.
Like a big boy. So if
listen to this
90s,
effortry, man. Listen to this
one of the
effortry.
most
What a
popular
nasty little
artists
bitch.
was
Fucking hell. I shouldn't agree with someone calling a woman a bitch, but fuck me. This is testing my patience immensely. Jesus. I think it's weird with Brianna Wu because like she kind of reappeared again suddenly, like what was it, a year ago maybe, and saying stuff that I was like, wow, this is actually like true. Like, who is this? Like, holy shit, I thought she was cringe and stuff, but hey, you know.
Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. So there's a moment, I don't know, Connor, you may know this. Is it on Snoop Dogg's album or is it Dre Day?
Like this like conversational like tone is absolutely fine for like an average conversation, but it becomes really grating in this context. Like I'm finding this very annoying, this constant like trying to bounce off Connor, like, oh Connor, maybe you remember this. Like it doesn't fit the kind of conversation they're having. And it's becoming very grating very quickly.
Where Snoop goes, blah, 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 we can handle this like gentlemen, or we can get into some gangster shit. And that's what I was quoting right there. Should I have thought about that for more than half a second, that someone that is not in their 40s is going to understand a Dr. Dre reference? Probably, but I think most people my age would understand that. Can I understand how you perceive it as a threat? Maybe, if you want to do that. But I was quoting Dr. Dre. I don't threaten people in private. I don't even know who this dude is hardly. I don't give a shit about him. I've muted him and blocked him, and we have just he's a joke. It is sad.
See, her muting him, I can 100% believe that happened.
The degree to which he's obsessed with this.
So would you refer to that threat as an obvious joke that no reasonable person would see as credible?
I think that I would say, I think I said the opposite, where I can understand why someone would think that that was not the best said. And, you know,
that's not quite what we were talking about, not the best said. It was about whether it was
so slippery. And there's the mute again. You know what? If from around this kind of point, wherever they kind of stopped muting him, if they'd have stopped the rest of the video, I'd have more respect for them than I do now, because it's getting stupid again.
A threat. So you keep reframing. It's crazy.
We're gonna be brave here.
Also, I've been interrupted so many times. I've been interrupted so many times.
I think if you look at his DMs later, you will say that I'm sorry if that made you feel uncomfortable. I think I said that to him directly. I'll say it to him again here on the show. You know, I was pissed off at the time. I was quoting Dr. Dre, and obviously the reference was lost on him. But I think the goal here with what is his name, Pooner or whatever, it's not to it's to dig up dirt and to do exactly what you're doing, which is a smear job for
just assuming the motives. Oh, well, you have bad motives, so I don't have to answer for anything. Like, anyone can do that. That's not arguing. That's just dismissing.
Social media attention. It's not a good faith exercise here. Like, he's looking for clout, and it's very obvious.
But I'm not lying though. But you've said several mistruths at least in this conversation. I don't think I've had any.
I'm not lying, man.
You got the details wrong at least. Like I said, at least they were mistruths you were speaking, that you've been speaking for several years.
Okay.
It just seems
she won't take that last step. She'll do everything to like explain what her thought process was up until that point. But then it's like when it comes to, well, you still did wrong, didn't you? It's like, oh man, I would find this infuriating. I think Kweeman's actually being patient, if anything.
It's weird to be accused of being bad faith after you've been, not telling the truth.
Isn't it kind of bad faith to assume that someone else is being bad faith? I don't know.
I think that there's no one that can survive this format. If you comb through everything someone has ever said publicly, especially someone that makes as much media as I do, and is addicted to Twitter, it's really frustrating because this.
That's the Twitter thing is like, you're addicted to Twitter. So it's not that she doesn't know why she comes across as like unhinged as fuck. She's addicted to Twitter. Like, anyone can go read her Twitter. It's usually mental. Fuck, I don't know. It seems like there's an awful lot of approaching the point and then veering off at the last second almost. It's the same with, are they going to talk about keffals again? I hope they do, because she needs to make the next step and be like, we trusted someone we shouldn't have. Like, we need to re-examine our collective thought processes, because so many trans people got caught up in this and so many people gave money that, was just used for like personal shit or like transition or therapy or cocaine, There needs to be that next step of actually thinking, how do we change this shit and not just have the same thing happen again because we can't criticize each other and because, I saw myself in her, so I wanted to support her. Like, it's not good enough. And I hope she makes at least a vague attempt at that, but she seems to be doing anything to avoid accountability. So I'm not optimistic at this point. We've got about 20 minutes left.
Inevitably comes up. You could do this with anyone. Point them out to be a liar or a hypocrite. It's just like, I don't know what to tell.
No one can survive this format. I don't know if that's even true. I mean, it's probably happened to a lot of people. And most people, they get cancelled. Like, it sucks, but like, most people come back at least somewhat from it.
I'm a normal person. I try to speak to stuff as accurately and fairly as I can. I change my mind on things. I try to be truthful in how I represent myself. Yeah, I occasionally get stuff wrong. I mean, this should not surprise you.
Oh, no, it doesn't surprise me.
So,
occasionally get stuff wrong. I mean, the keffals thing is big, and some of the other stuff probably is as well, but that was like full-throated support for a scam campaign. Like, you can't dismiss that as everyone makes mistakes when it points to a fundamental issue within the trans community, one that she herself is holding a microscope to and giving other criticisms of, maybe even that same criticism, that we're way too accepting of each other and will jump in to defend each other way too often when perhaps it's not actually a good idea and perhaps there's a reason why this person is getting shit. I can't square any of this. It's bizarre. Even the people that are talking sense are just the same as the other people anyway. So it's like, what am I meant to think,
So, all right. I feel like we should back up, hit 2 points, and then honestly, I think we're probably going to hit at least the last point that I noted. There were other ones, but I don't feel like they're as relevant. This is kind of checking a box.
I think Connor, like, doing the questions is actually working a bit better. Like, that seems to have brought some kind of back and forth instead of just these two getting angry at each other. So I'll give him that tiniest bit of respect, but like watching him sweep for Brianna, it makes me uncomfortable. And like, he's decently older than me as well. Like, if I can see this, why can't he? It really makes you, I think there's a point, like when I was a kid, I thought, you know, adults were like untouchable and like they just know more than you. Like it just happens when you get older. As I've gotten older, I've realized that actually most older people are full of shit, just like younger people.
What was the point of the DIY HRT and Bob posting pink pilling and bank robbing? So I have an inference, but I'm not going to share it. If you could do it, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I just wanted to. The reason why I like that Mutar segment is because it shows how ubiquitous and constant the posting about this was from Keffals and Bob posting. You couldn't have avoided Bob posting and Keffals rambling about pink pilling miners. You really couldn't have. They were doing it constantly. So I just don't know how I'm supposed to believe that Brianna has all of a sudden.
And she's scoffing. You couldn't have. You know what? We might as well do it now. You couldn't have. What the fuck? Are you serious? Okay, here we go. Yeah, tweeting about it, linking on the stream and stuff. Was asked about it by Ethan from HGH3. Did you not watch that either? All kinds of stuff. I mean, this is the whole part of the manifesto. I think they're going to ask about this shortly. But yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot here on it. I completely agree with what Queenman's saying. And she's like scoffing at him, like, you see these like knee-jerk reactions. Like, she needs to work on being more stoic, I think, and actually thinking through before just reacting emotionally, which again is something that I'm trying to do myself. Like, I'm not immune to that either. No one is. But you should try, no?
Come to this realization that, oh, this is really bad and we should call it out. That's just very odd.
I have no idea who Bob posting was before that video. I've never seen Keffals talk about this stuff to my recollection.
So did you? Sorry, I just ask. Did you ever look at the Destiny Manifesto?
Yeah, I watched it 3 times.
That she's gone over extensively in that manifesto, I believe.
Yeah,
with the bank robbing or the pink pilling?
No, not the bank robbing. The pink pill, the Bob posting stuff.
The pink pilling stuff. But your statement was, I had to have seen her talking about that stuff, right? And
you just no. My issue there was that you just told me you had no idea who she was, but now you've said you have seen the Destiny Manifesto and you know that she was.
I'm telling you, Bob posting, I had not understood that and put those links together until I was talking to Mudahar the other day. I watch a ton of YouTube content, man.
So
is you're trying to point out this hypocrisy where like I'm supposedly like supporting HRT for minors, and I just don't.
I'm not saying you're supporting it. I'm saying that it was a warning sign that took you off of Keffals. I'm saying you're misrepresenting me. I have to stop you from misrepresenting
me. Like an adult, man.
If you're going to just misrepresent me and lie,
you gotta act like an adult. Oh my god, she's. Oh. This like patronizing attitude is another thing. She's just the same as all these trans fucking radicals saying all this bullshit, acting like complete fucking idiots on the internet. She's no different. She just has a slightly different perspective on like a certain thing.
Literally, if you're doing a good faith analysis, trying to find out, does
Brianna
support HRT for minors? You could go look at my public statements on this over years, and you would find example after example after example of me not doing this. I have not supported DIY hormones for a really, really, really long time. So it's like you go to look for this evidence that reaches the conclusion that Brianna Wu is a hypocrite or a liar, and you ignore all the.
I think I've made my point there.
Public statements. And it's fundamentally not.
The point is, what he's saying is true. There was a lot. I don't know how she's addicted to Twitter and is friends with Keffals and supports her movement. She didn't see any of this going on. So, I don't know.
Not an exercise in honesty.
Okay, I can say I'm against murder, but then if one of my friends kills someone and I keep helping them get jobs and connections, you would probably say that like I'm being permissive of that person killing someone, right?
So the stuff in the Destiny Manifesto, as I remember it, I remember watching it and give me some goodwill here because I'm trying to remember a video.
Give me some goodwill. Give me some charity. You have to understand where I'm coming from here.
came out 2 years ago. But I remember thinking at the time that I didn't think it was that conclusive, or I didn't feel like it was the strongest argument for many reasons. The biggest one being I didn't think that Destiny drew the line between the stuff that was happening on whatever that site was and Keffals herself. And I remember.
Wait, hang on. I mean, that Bob posting was super involved. Was it her site? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I saw this kind of stuff at the time, so I don't know how she's claiming. I know it's pretty obvious to me. It's pretty obvious that there was some bias there. Why not admit, hey, I was biased. I didn't see things because I didn't like the source it was coming from, aka Destiny. Why not do that? Why not just cop to any of this shit? Like, just anything. Like, for me, that would make me respect her a little bit. I can't respect someone acting like this at all. And I can't respect someone sitting right next to her, playing defense for her and, like, trying to help her out, you know?
Remember, like, the connection seemed to me that Keffals wrote a check to basically keep a website in business, and Destiny was attributing everything that happened on that website to Keffals, like, personally cheerleading.
Well, I mean, she endorsed it, no? Isn't that fair to an extent?
It. And as someone who has funded a lot of different things over my career, I just don't look at everything that granular. So I didn't find it compelling. What I did about the Mutahar video is he drew the lines, and then he's drawing the lines with people I know, like Maya. So it was a much...
This is preposterous. This is actually ridiculous. Like, you literally do think that everyone around you is a child, if you expect anyone to believe this.
Stronger case. So I evaluated that in different terms there. And if you look at the Beckett video, you can see me saying over and over and over again, I do not support that with Keffals.
Yeah, so just a couple of things there. First of all, those lines were drawn, aside from the Maya thing, which I'll get back to in a second.
Sure.
The lines were drawn by Destiny. Keffals had a banner ad on her site for a very long time that was for DIY HRT, and they had a bot command in chat that would spam out adverts for DIY HRT, and it was widely known that there was a partnership, not just a check, but a partnership between Keffals and the DIY HRT stuff. The Maya thing, it's weird that you bring that up and say that's why you changed your mind, because the other day you were saying that was the weakest part of Mutahar's video and that you shouldn't take the things that Maya was posting seriously. So now that seems odd to me that there's been a flip on
we're
that
talking
point.
about two different things here. We're talking, Mutahar was talking in his video about, I was giving a critique about the culture of how he's taking everything. It's actually very similar to the Keffals like addiction thing, where like this dry comment between people is interpreted as like deadly serious. And it's just wry.
Is it acknowledged as, is it taken as deadly serious? Like, it's obvious you're joking, but it's weird and it's deflecting from the issue. And it's kind of giving someone license, even in a joking way. Like, I don't think that's cool, personally.
Humor between friends. The thing I'm telling you with Maya is when I rewatched that video after that appearance and looked at what Maya had said about her levels being off, and then she went to a doctor later, that because it's someone I know, I can judge that and go, okay, I know Maya. She's probably telling the
So you have to know someone, and then you'll start believing it. Is that what she's trying to say?
truth here. This is not some anonymous account here. This is really credible. So does that...
I don't know. I don't know. She could have looked into, like, any of the accounts before. She could have looked into this Bob posting person, like, and she never saw any of this, apparently. If she wants people to believe that, that's fine. Not everyone's going to.
That makes sense to you that I had a different assessment there because of it?
Not really, no. I mean, the evidence was always there. The Maya stuff I can understand. Maybe you're like, oh, it personally affected someone I know, so now I care. But the evidence, as far
It's
as
a credibility issue. It's not that I care. It's
I don't know what the
credibility.
credibility is. The evidence was there. It was laid out clearly. I'm not.
That's the difference here, because there's all kinds of anonymous users on the internet, and I can't always take those claims.
Why is that enough to completely discredit all of this? I don't understand that at all. It seems like she is actually genuinely kind of bullshitting here. I think she probably is just lying about this.
Claims seriously. But if Mudahar is putting something in the video of someone taking sites from, what is it called? Something labs, and their levels aren't right, and it's someone I actually know, that gives me a different assessment of the credibility of those claims.
Even if you can't quite assess the credibility of the claims, what didn't make her stop and think, hey, maybe I should pull back from associating with this, because this is a bit strange? It's just no blind support until the very end.
Yeah, Otokonoko Pharmaceutical. That was covered in Destiny's Manifesto as well. I'm really not seeing what the evidence is that Mood presented you already, but that's okay.
My assessment would be that the first time that you saw like Destiny's Manifesto or whatever, I don't think you were trying to rebuild the bridge, at least timeline wise.
Yeah.
So because she wasn't trying to rebuild the bridge, she didn't take it seriously? I mean, that just kind of sounds like Keffals didn't like Destiny, so she's just taking Keffals' side. That makes it even more pathetic, because she was like, what, 45 or something by then? Is that what you expect from someone that age?
It's literally such an indictment.
Destiny. Hold on, can I just explain my mindset? I was really angry at Destiny there. I've never talked to him about this, but the Chloe Segal stuff, I was really frustrated that made it in there, just because there is such a different behind-the-scenes story. Yeah, I don't think he's a bad person to have added it. Like, he's saying stuff that's factually true, but I mean, it's someone I know that died in a really, really, really violent, bloody way. And I don't know. I was definitely more Team Keffals back then when I was watching it, so I probably discounted it more than I should have.
She hasn't justified this. Like, yeah, it's someone she knew that died horribly. I agree. But the point was that it was blamed on Kiwi Farms. Why are you not uncomfortable about someone talking about the death of someone you knew and attributing it to something that potentially really wasn't that big a factor, if at all? I mean, I don't remember really any evidence that it was to do with Kiwi Farms, and it's probably in here somewhere anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, this checks out with sort of what I'm saying about you, is that you're making decisions and statements based on your connections and not based on any actual engagement with the subject.
I think I've engaged. Yeah.
No, you just told me that you didn't.
She's not engaged at all. That is bullshit.
Engage with the manifesto properly and didn't take the evidence seriously because she had to.
Bizarrely, she's told more lies in this fucking video than the amount of lies that he brought up.
The Keffals. That's what you just told me.
I've only talked like 1% of the time, so all of y'all are just going to have to indulge me.
Fair.
Yay.
I have been doing a show called Too Long Didn't Watch, where I'm watching old debates, and the way that I remember,
hey, he's kind of doing what I'm doing, but with a different framing.
A debate was Sargon of Akkad got blown the fuck out by Destiny because he just kept repeating the same argument over and over again. That was my memory of this debate. I'm watching it again and I'm taking notes. And as I'm taking notes, I'm seeing Sargon make half a dozen points that didn't even register with me at the time. And the reason why is because at the time, I was emotionally biased towards Destiny's side instead of trying to.
I mean, I will say this definitely happens. It's happened with me as well. Like, I had a big thing of like moving away from the left because I started actually listening to the shit they were saying and being like, I think a lot of this is probably actually bullshit. But it's not really an excuse. Like, it's not easy to break someone out of their bubble. But at a certain point, at a certain age, are you not kind of responsible for what you consume and how you consume it, you know?
View it objectively. And I think we all consume content in a slanted way where our relationships basically color the way that we perceive things. So if I
agree with what he's saying, but it doesn't excuse anything. And it points to a huge problem with the trans community that she's so critical of, and yet she's still acting the same way as, you know?
Took was somebody I know is being personally affected by this, and on top of that, the person who's the subject tried to backstab me, and as a result, I'm analyzing this information more objectively. I don't think that's like a specific character flaw to Brianna. I think that's how most...
I think that is a character flaw. I think that's something you have to identify within yourself and then cut out as soon as you can. And maybe, am I lucky that I did that in my late 20s and not like in my 40s, like apparently Brianna's doing now? It's like we have to treat her like she's some stupid kid and just excuse everything instead of pointing to the greater flaw. Because we've got like how many minutes left? Like she still hasn't really said what I wanted to say. So yeah.
Humans process information.
I think that if at a certain point of when the stakes are so high that it's $100,000 that has probably been scammed out.
She's laughing. What's that to laugh at? Like, did you not run cover for someone so that they could carry out this like fraud? Like, come on.
The trans community out of probably.
Let's act like adults, but I'm gonna laugh at everything you say, even when it's true.
The people who are pretty poor that are giving.
Gonna
money.
meme. It's 60,000, but yeah.
Sorry,
Continue.
Yeah. Whatever. It's all a scam because it's built off of a lie in the first place, Connor. Because it wasn't Kiwi Farms that did it. Okay, so
True.
It's all a scam actually. But
true. So many people, knew from the start. You can't build a house on bad foundations. You can't build a movement off of like a foundation of lies. It just doesn't work.
But Keffals allegedly didn't know that it wasn't Kiwi Farms at the time of the swatting.
That's
why is it everyone? Oh, well, we didn't know. You still fucked up.
I don't think that's true. I thought she admitted that she did know, but she decided to go after Kiwi Farms to the target.
The quote was,
Keffals has said just about everything. Like she's taken every position on every single part of this at one point or another. Who fucking knows?
She didn't know until after the campaign had already started, and she didn't think that there was enough momentum to go after Dogspen.
Throwing me off of what I was going to say now.
My bad.
Well, what did you just talk about? Oh, sorry, that's it. The state.
She does not she's mentioned bad faith. Like she seems the epitome of bad faith to me.
Sorry, the stakes are higher when you're a public-facing activist with a large following who's got a lot of trust from left-wing communities, and you're vouching for a fundraiser. There's a different level of stakes.
God, he's even touched on it. Is she gonna connect that dot where it's like we went to bat for this person, and that's a serious flaw on our end that we keep doing because we never criticize each other? Is she gonna connect those two dots? Because it's like it's the smallest part, and no one can seem to do it, and it's so frustrating to me. Like one trans person just fucking come out and admit that you were wrong, and that there's serious change in the way that we deal with this shit that needs to be put in place. Because Demon Mama didn't do it. Xander Howe, who fucking cares? Like, geez, is it bad that I expected better of Brianna? I don't know.
This is what I think anyone... Hold on just 1 second, Connor. I think anyone... Like, this has basically been the last 2 years of my life, right? So I started off really not liking Destiny, like completely hating him. We got off in a huge public Twitter feud at one point, and me really siding with Keffals, partially because Kiwi Farms had gone after me so hard, right? After that, I started watching a lot of Destiny.
Yeah, so she was extremely biased.
His content, and I start going, oh, this guy is actually extremely talented. I really like the way he's talking about this stuff here. And, I got to be friends with Kyla. And, slowly, I built this bridge with DJG. And to be really honest, I think he's kind of converted me over to that worldview, right? I think you can see this in my public actions. I'm a lot more pro free speech than I probably was 2 years ago. And I can look...
Wow, good job.
Look back at the, Keffals Destiny fight here, and I understand a lot of the things that Keffals did, were really out of bounds now. There was a lot of context that I didn't understand back then, like her getting his Wikipedia edited with sexual misconduct allegations. So I think if you look at the totality of where I've gone for the last 2 years, from starting in this place where I'm instinctively on Keffals' side, to building this bridge with DGG, making a very hard break with the progressive left on October 7th, which has been extremely painful for my career, and to where I am today, where I'm doing stuff like trigonometry.
I mean, the Palestine-Israel stuff, it's just partisans on both sides, right? Like, you picked a side. Is that really something we need to give you credit for? I don't know.
I think there's a very consistent like pattern of shift here.
And again, okay, yeah, so she has kind of changed over time, but she still acts the same way. She still uses the same underhand tactics to get out of actually saying anything or like admitting anything. So what's the point? What growth is there? There's change. Is there growth?
And I think there's so much evidence there that this is in good faith. It is what I genuinely think. My opinions have genuinely changed. I just think it's cynicism to not see that.
Well, you're being too cynical by criticizing me for the many criticizable things I've done. I don't know.
That I have a point that I want to make off the piggyback, and then I want to let Queeman go, and then I want to make the final point. And we're actually hitting 90 minutes. We agreed to be together for an hour. Queeman, I know that I said that I would hang out with your Spurgs, but it turns out I have another commitment at 8:30 p.m. So if your callers want to talk to me another day, I'm happy to do it, but probably not tonight. And then what I wanted to say is Queeman has an at-home advantage. This is part of the reason why I like the cynicism of the commentary community, is that in politics, oftentimes what politics is building relationships, building bridges, trying to get people who have money, clout, and influence to share goals, to work together towards a common goal. And that's obviously going to bias you when you're a part of a tribe. Part of what I think is valuable about commentary is the fact that they really don't have a tribe. They're kind of a bunch of fucking piranha waiting
I don't know how much Queeman is even part of the commentary community, but sure.
At the bottom of the fucking lake waiting to rip you to fucking shreds, because at the end of the day, they're there for that, not necessarily building a tribe and pushing in the same direction. Queeman, I want to let you go, and then I want to bring up the final point that I had kind of as a closing out.
Let me go on what I don't even remember what Ben said before you gave that.
If you have any response to Brianna or me for the past minute, or I can go into the last spot.
Yeah, I would just like to the change in behavior and the addressing of the mistruths that have been spread over many years would be great, but I don't think that's going to happen personally.
Well, this might allow you to repeat yourself in a second then. The kind of final closeout was, don't let Brianna placate you with niceties and talk about bridge building considering her history. The next comment was, watched and supported every terrible action Keffals did. I don't think we should take that comment because we basically just moved past that comment. But
it's kind of true though at the same time. And there's still no real good reason as to why she didn't wise up at any point. She pretty much admitted bias. She'll do everything except take accountability and suggest that a change is needed to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because this shit will happen again in the trans community if we carry on the way we are. And I'm sure Brianna probably agrees with me. But why not say it? Why not lay that out? You know, that would show a bit of accountability, maybe, because no one seems to give a shit, so whatever.
You're saying that this change is not genuine. So what I would say is, Brianna, we're hitting...
I can say that the change is probably genuine in that she's changed some positions. But has there really been any growth? It doesn't feel like it, because it's just, oh, I want you to understand how I felt at the time. Like, we can do that, but shit still went down a certain way. And if someone's got that much of a history of a certain thing, you know, you have to show at some point that you don't do that anymore. And there's certain things that sound like they still happen. You know, she was tweeting about Total Biscuit like last year or whatever it was, you know, like it's, I'm not feeling it. I'm not convinced at all by this personally.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it. Sorry.
What I was going to say is, we agreed to 60 minutes. We've been here for 90. I have an engagement at 8:30. I think this was sufficiently, like, we moved through all the points and addressed them. Maybe not to everybody's satisfaction, but we did address them. So do you have anything that you want to talk about in reference to maybe your evolution over the past like year or two and whether or not, you know, it's genuine. I think you just did, but if you want to do it again.
I think people out there,
Oh, yes, please say the same wherever it was again.
can look at my public statements and make their own their own conclusion. Again, I
You're right, we can.
will just say there's no person, no matter how honest, that can survive this playbook. If you come through everything someone has ever said and you look at
I
it,
don't think that's true. I think that's a massive cope. Like, yeah, I mean, and she could have handled this a million times better by being less arrogant about it and not laughing almost every time he speaks sometimes. She doesn't seem like she takes any of this seriously, and I'm not sure why that is. Is it because Queen's a smaller channel? Is it because she doesn't really think that she's done anything wrong in that situation? Like, I'm not sure. But it's the same old trans, I'm the victim. It's the same old, no, I'm just going to slip by that point and not address it meaningfully. So, like, what does it matter? What does it matter if I comb through all of her public statements, aka things that she's presumably curated and then put out there as a expression of herself, not as a genuine person, because that's not what anyone is really on social media.
it cynically and you take it in bad faith, you're going to find inconsistencies. It's exactly what has happened here. Talk to the people that know me.
It's bad faith. Again. Just write it off as bad faith and you don't have to deal with any of it.
I think if you're watching a show right now, you know, Connor's someone that has a lot of integrity. We get along because we share a worldview. Look at the people that I work with on my team. Look at my friends, right? Yeah.
Is that always a good thing to get along because of your worldview? Is that not part of the problem of like trans spaces, trans Twitter, trans anything, quite frankly?
Not someone who gets everything right, but I think the fact that I am willing to go up against my own side, I actually think that speaks very strongly for my character.
No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. Okay. No, I'm actually losing my shit now. It doesn't say anything when you act the same way, when you're not taking any responsibility for shit that should be telling you a hell of a lot about what's wrong with the trans movement. The fact that we don't criticize each other. The fact that someone like Keffals was able to get that much clout, get your support, get a whole bunch of other people's support, get a whole bunch of money for like what? And if we don't criticize each other, and if we don't stop playing the victim constantly and stop wanting ultimate charitability for every stupid fucking thing we do, then it's going to happen again. And what she's saying, none of this means shit. She might as well speak about a completely different subject. Because to me, this isn't showing that at all. This is showing someone who probably hasn't changed their ways an awful lot. They've just changed a couple of positions. I could do that right now. I could come out as a fucking Nazi. Like, what difference has it actually made if I still talk exactly the same and I still act exactly the same? And it's frustrating. I don't know. I've probably just saved myself from making any kind of conclusion to this because that's my ultimate takeaway. I don't think she's changed. I think, well, I can say she's changed because I can acknowledge she does go up against her own side. That is true. However, there's change, but is there growth? I don't think there's growth.
And, you know, people can make their own assessment about that.
I'm glad she has given me permission to do that. I have. I don't think she's changed.
Freeman, do you kind of want to give a final thoughts, final criticisms?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not about whether you've made mistakes or fucked up over the years, or if you can point out little hypocrisies. You've been quite exceptionally dishonest. You were saying earlier that you didn't that you didn't claim to have a degree after you were public facing.
I won't even entertain it because she hasn't taken accountability for anything. She hasn't really admitted anything. She's just gone 90% of the way there and then just ran straight back again every time, it seems like.
It wasn't true. You pretend you didn't know what Jace Connors was all about. You have, what the Total Biscuit thing, you were waffling around that for a very long time. I just don't...
What's not waffling?
Disagree. I just don't...
Is she seriously going to try and say she doesn't waffle? Come on, Brianna. That's your thing. That's your thing. Own it. Own it. It's okay. You ramble.
See the change here. I don't see the accountability. I don't see the recognition of the bad shit you've done at all. I think you were just constantly throwing out excuses and bringing up, but my life was really hard at the time. But I understand that I like.
Yeah, it's a classic trans move. Hit him with the trans trauma. Hit him with the victim complex. I know all of this shit. I've been watching it for years. And I'm glad that she's not pulling the wool over Queeman's eyes, because that would make this the most unbelievably frustrating thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad that it is not just people who've actually seen firsthand what the trans community is like. It's just kind of a lot of people now are just seeing this for what it is. And I'm fucking glad, because this shit's gonna go down. It's gonna come crashing down. Keffals didn't do it, someone else will, because, like I said, it's just gonna keep getting worse unless we change. And Brianna's not gonna bring that. She's had some ideas and she said some stuff that I very much agree with, but that's about it. That's all I can really see.
But my life was really hard at the time, and that's been the
Didn't
whole
lie
conversation.
about anything.
So, I mean, you can say that. You knew that you didn't have a degree. You certainly knew that was untrue when you said it.
I have a question for you. Did you put out the? You might have answered this already. Did you put out the 20-minute commentary on Brianna today, half expecting her to get pissed off and not show up?
To be specific, because I was 100% confirming that she would, regardless of what happened. My plan initially was to drop it afterwards, but then I was like, I didn't have a video go out today, and so I wanted to make sure that I had something go up earlier in the day.
Fair.
Okay. All right.
I was going to confront you on the points first, and then the video was going to come out. But yeah.
Okay. I'll save my schizo conspiracy theories to myself then. But anyways,
thank God. What was that conspiracy theory he got on? I can't remember what it was, but there was some goofy shit that he got a whole bunch of people shouting at him for, and he got really pissy about. I can't remember. Connor's one of those people that's like, he's up and down for me. I don't really have any respect for him after this, honestly, and I don't have any respect for Brianna after this either.
all right. Well, I actually want to thank Brianna, because obviously getting grilled by commentary isn't fun. I want to thank Queeman for his horrible, aggressive autism that is...
Really, man. Keep sweeping. Sweep all of her shit up.
You know, a useful but dangerous tool. And then where can people find you, Queeman? Even
useful but dangerous tool. It's almost over. I don't need to keep spazzing out.
though I think you're doing pretty good tonight.
Yeah, twitter.com/Queeman, x.com/Queeman, discord.gg/Queeman, youtube.com/Queeman live.
Go on x.com/themarychu or @themarychu, whatever it is.
Okay. Does anybody want to say anything else before we kind of dip out?
Good.
All right. Goodbye, Queeman. I'm going to kick you out, and then Brianna, if you want to hang out for a second.
Sounds good.
See you later.